It's only been, 2 weeks since we've had any communication with our boss.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yep, you're working.
Are we doing this?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh, that.
Ten seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton, on this Monday? Hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for starting your week off with us here on the Florida Sports Network. How you doing?
I'm good. Glad to be back.
Really?
Yeah.
You were sleeping, within a mile of, Donald there. I mean, what?
I checked both days. Walked past Mar-a-Lago, thought maybe be laying out in the sun. I could say hi, not so much.
Thought he might be laying out in the sun. Right.
I waved and everything.
Well, now that might have appeared on video somewhere.
Oh, there's not a doubt.
But I thought he might have been laying out in the sun. Right. Yep. Something we've seen a lot of over the years. So East Coast treat you well?
Very well. Very well. Always good to catch up with old friends. You know that.
Well, I don't know. I have to have old friends. I've got about 3 of them.
Well, there you go.
These days.
We're competing, David. I might be at 5. You're at 3. Don't worry.
Well, you're younger than me. Don't worry. You'll lose a couple between now and my age.
Not a doubt in my mind.
I have to admit, and might get in a little bit of hot water for saying this, I hate boring Masters. And by boring, meaning basically there was no point in the last 3 hours that we thought someone was going to win not named Scotty Scheffler.
Nope.
So in that sense, it was like, man, this sucker's not in doubt.
I mean, 3 hours, maybe a little less. Once Cam dumped it in the water on 12, the tournament was officially over. I mean, he birdied 11 and gave you a little hope going, all right, there's a chance.
There's a chance. I'll give Faldo credit. He called it. He said he's an aggressive player. I have a feeling he's going to, hey, the birdie, I'm feeling it. And he's going to aim right at the pin. And sure enough, he was. And Nick, it's like, I don't know about this. And sure enough, I don't know about this. There are very few instances. It's amazing because every tournament golfer watches the Masters if they're not playing in it. And I understand that golfers, they pay attention to their own history. Most of them don't necessarily pay attention to the history of the sport. But in all the times that they have watched the Masters and all the times that they have heard about the Masters, Mark, how many times can you talk about a golfer who was aggressive on 12 and made birdie and it catapulted them to the win?
I don't know.
Mickelson in 04. He was really struggling. He had now fell a couple behind Ernie, and Phil kind of drew one in and went for it and knocked it to about 15 feet and made the putt. And that's what got him started. And it's really, and meanwhile, we can all,
well, right.
I mean, we can rattle off 20 guys just this century alone who have just fallen by the wayside because they decided to get aggressive on 12.
And, well, Cam did, and it ended him right there.
Yeah.
And that essentially ended the tournament.
Yeah. This is where you need a caddy, honestly, to say to you, don't do it. Nope, don't do it. You make your 3 and you live for the 13T. Crazy things can happen on 13. A 3 is possible on 13.
Especially the way he drives the golf ball.
Right.
He hits it an absolute ton.
And he draws it, and in theory, you draw it around the corner, give yourself a chance, the whole deal. So, but nope. And at that moment, it was over. I mean, hey, it was Rory with the ultimate backdoor top three right there. It just as good as you'll ever see to be, so far out of it. And then, nice little 64. That was cool. That was fun.
It was great.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I hope it propels him into momentum that the rest of this year he plays great golf, because golf would be a better sport if Rory McIlroy was an elite golfer, because right now he's on the cusp of elite, but he can't finish.
And yet, in many ways, the story ended up being Tiger again. And you got to see after the opening 71. I mean, remember, the last time we were on the air, he had yet to tee off for his Friday round. And as one, if you really think about it, would have expected, he looked his best on day one because physically he was going to be at his best day one. That it was only going to get harder for him physically as the tournament went on. And a pair of 78s over the weekend, the two worst scores he's ever had at Augusta, but considering the circumstances, probably the two best 78s of his life.
And in the post interview gave us hope that he's going to be around a little more, that we're going to see him in St. Andrews, which you and I thought we wouldn't see him until St. Andrews.
Right.
But he pretty much gave us the green light that he'll play in the Open.
Yeah, CBS didn't ask him the question, but Sky News asked him the question right after the CBS interview. Cara Banks, who also works for the Golf Channels, and said, "Hey, when are we going to see you again?" And he said, "Well, the old course." Oh, okay. Which obviously leaves open, will he do the PGA at Southern Hills in 5 weeks, and will he do the U.S. Open?
And he said flat out he'll try to play Southern Hills, but he doesn't know physically if he'll be able to. But it's from the sounds of it, and I happened to be driving home and heard that on the radio. From the sounds of it, he'd love to play Southern, but he's eyeballing St. Andrews.
So another Masters in the books. And now I'm okay with Scottie Scheffler being the number one player in the world.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Well, come on now. I mean, at least he won a major, for goodness sake.
I got you.
I mean, 2 months ago, he hadn't won a tournament.
No, you're right.
It is remarkable.
Now he's
when
won
you think
4.
about it. Exactly. Is this what they call it? Is this a heater in the golf world?
Damn right it is.
Is he on a heater?
Wow.
Man.
How is he 25 years old when he looks like he's 40?
Well, also 3 years ago, he didn't even have a full-time tour card. And it was mentioned yesterday, and it wasn't mentioned much before yesterday, but you really got to go back to Steve Stricker in the fall. Because remember, he chose Scottie Scheffler over Patrick Reed, Captain America, one of the few active tour players who had a winning Ryder Cup record, and a good one. He was like 7-3-2, had never lost a singles, and he left Patrick Reed out for Scottie Scheffler. And he said, hey, he can roll it. Makes a bunch of putts. That's what you have to do in match play. You got to make putts. And Scheffler had a great Ryder Cup and has just been like a John Deere tractor on a Saturday morning.
Look at you. Channeling your inner working.
I don't know what I'm
your inner lawn boy.
I don't know what I'm doing.
But I like it. I like it.
Right.
And he's mowing them down.
Yes,
There's
he
no
is.
doubt.
Yes, he is.
I got the reference, David. You were on to something with that.
He is out in the countryside, Mark. He is going for a leisurely drive on his tractor. By the time he comes back, you go, wow, look at all that work he got done. Man.
A little hiccup on 18 coming in there, missing the short putt. I laughed when Nance interviewed. He goes, well, I think it was kind of a good thing because it helped me get through this interview.
We'll say it makes the win more memorable. It really does. We're all going to remember, Scheffler. What did he 4 jacket or 5 jacket?
5 jacket. Whatever you got to do, bud.
When he missed the second one, because what was that, about 18 inches maybe? When he missed that one, it was kind of like, whoa, man, oh man, I understand you're emotional and all, but wow.
Let's get this in the barn.
I loved when the crowd felt like they had to help him out there.
But an epic run.
Yeah, this is very couples-esque. All right, to be honest, Freddie won a tournament in the early fall of 91. He won the BC Open. So if you equate that with like Scheffler's Ryder Cup performance, and then Freddie just kept on going in 92, won a couple times, came in as the number one player in the world, and obviously won the Masters that year. And what did Freddie get? Freddie got lucky on 12.
On 12, right.
Right. Made the mistake of going for it, and the only ball we've ever seen up until that point and since that has stayed up on the hill.
But no more bird sounds for another year.
Man, that one bird followed Scheffler around all day. Did you hear that? That one bird followed him around
All day.
All day.
It's like right over his shoulder.
Yeah. And not only that, found the audio guy too.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of the fairway, by the green, whatever it was.
With the same song.
I mean, do we think it was a robin? What kind of bird do we think that was?
Well, wasn't that what got him busted in the first place? That someone that was a bird caller says, those birds aren't in Georgia at that time of year.
Right. And they're like, we're not giving in on anything. They didn't address it. They're not talking about it. That's okay. You know who else wasn't addressing it or talking about it? CBS yesterday. Didn't matter how many mistakes they made. They never once corrected themselves. They just kept on going. All day. All day. This is a 9-iron. No, actually, it's a 4-iron from 220. Nothing. No mention. Zip, zilch, nada.
That's pretty strong looking 9-iron there, Dottie.
Right. All right. I mean, Schwartzel holds out the bunker shot. That's an eagle. No, actually, it's a par. All right. Nothing. Zip, zilch, nada. It was amazing. At one point, no layup. The Twitter handle no layup sent out a tweet with 30 minutes to go that said, "Is CBS drunk?"
Was not their best moment.
Great pictures, though. Great pictures. And to think, I mean, it wasn't that long ago that you couldn't get a drone on Augusta with a court order. Fred Ridley would have said, yeah, I don't think so. But, man, they are embracing the drones. They want you to see everything.
And it's very, very pretty, but it wasn't very, well, there was no drama.
No. A couple of the holes are too hard. 15, no eagles on 15. First time in 57 years. No eagles on 15 in the whole tournament. Miller and Moulton. Ron Sirak will join us from Augusta to wrap things up a little bit later on in the show here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, Only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I think the tournament ended when Rory and Morikawa hold out at 18. That's like the last thing you could have watched.
Well, it was cool.
That was cool.
So you confirm with Westwood One? Are we good?
Yeah.
Are we on hard breaks?
Yes.
Okay.
We are.
So that means you don't have to do anything, right?
I mean,
You shouldn't have to hit that button anymore if we're on hard breaks.
I mean, that's
the
kind
whole
of the
point.
whole purpose of it.
this button, but still, I'm still hitting this button though to send it to these local ads.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which you
Yes.
shouldn't have to do.
Yes, which you should not have to do.
But it's not that deep. It's not a big deal for me.
Well, but here's the problem. Okay. I don't want you/us getting blamed for any problems with their local.
Right.
This is something, because this essentially, you should think of the show as like Sunday Night Football, and they're carrying it on Westwood One. And you've got network spots and local spots. The computer handles everything, or it should. But then again, maybe they have somebody in here to do it.
Mhm.
But in theory, a computer should handle it all.
Right. And it's easier now that we're going to hard breaks for the computer to handle everything.
Right.
It's on a tight schedule.
I mean,
No, but see, that computer should fire automatically. What we're saying is the local break should fire automatically. You shouldn't have to do that.
Right.
But
Got
Chris
it.
Beasley's not probably paying any attention to what we're doing. But then again, we went to hard breaks and didn't send anything to any affiliates this week.
well, we did 2 weeks ago though.
I understand
Okay.
that, but
It's our management style.
The Marlins are in Anaheim. Interesting. So I haven't had an opportunity to watch much baseball yet, but from the looks of it, this mic'd up thing is awesome.
I tried watching some of the K-Rod last night, but I will say I got phone calls during it and what have you. But it's their baseball version of Manning Cast
Mhm.
with Michael Kay and Alex Rodriguez.
Oh, you mean Alex Rodriguez from the Hood?
Right. I'll say, though, he's given millions to the U and he never went there.
Oh yeah. He had that name. That name of his has been plastered on the front of that stadium, Mark Light Stadium, or Alex Rodriguez Field at Mark Light Stadium.
someone was upset on our text line because the Panthers shot at an empty net with a 2-goal lead in 50 seconds.
Yeah, I know that, but they did it. Yeah, he sent that text in though at like 4:30 in the afternoon. But, and what are you supposed to do? Man,
Someone was mad at that.
I mean, they pull the goalie. They're trying to score,
I
and
it's
yeah, you put one in the empty net, so they go, okay, game's over, and they put the goalie back on the ice. Teams have scored 2 goals in the final minute with an extra attacker many times.
I've seen 3 goals inside of a minute before.
Well, There's
I've
that.
called games with 3 goals in them.
Well, there's that famous Bruins Leafs playoff game from like 10 or so years ago, in which the game 7 in Boston, Leafs had the series won 4-2 under a minute to go. Bruins with the extra attacker scored twice, force overtime, win it. Yeah, Wander he's fun. So we're coming back, right?
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Well, I know you were, with a lifelong friend and with your family, so, I didn't expect you to watch much, if any, Major League Baseball yet. Have you? I didn't know. I didn't know. Didn't know if it just maybe you were walking through the kitchen and somebody in the house had it on, or I don't know, you caught 10 minutes of Sports Center highlights or MLB Network. I don't know. It was just.
Honestly, the only television I watched the entire weekend was Masters.
I think most people probably fit into that category.
Beyond that was a lot of socializing and eating, David. That's what you do on vacation these days. You eat. Hey, what are we doing for lunch? And then what are we doing for dinner?
Right. Mark, I do it on any day that ends in day, but I hear what you're saying. Others are a little bit more prudent. Well, we did talk about this when they were sitting there figuring out how they were going to get in all the games, that somebody should have said, yeah, April 7th, probably not the best day. It's probably not the best weekend for us to start this. It's the most watched golf tournament in America is that weekend. It's a tough thing to go up against. But one undefeated team, Mark, after the first weekend, only one team with a shot at 162-0.
Well, there's only one team that played the Baltimore Orioles, so therefore it is your Tampa Rays.
There you go. There you go. Tampa Bay Rays off to a 3-0 start. And it's a shame they only got 19 of these games against the Orioles. Man, that's tough.
All I've been doing with baseball scores is I've been checking them in the morning, David, and counting over-unders.
You're there already, huh?
Well, overs have been the play, because I laughed on our show Friday. Someone texted the show. I'd play, because we'd made the comment about the Reds. I'm going to play all unders today. And I wanted to tweet the guy back on Saturday. You lost a lot of money.
Yeah. Got to remember the pitching's not ready.
These are football scores a lot of the time early in the year.
Unless you're going to play the Guardians. Now, I will say, I think you can go the whole year and bet the under in Guardians games. You would have lost yesterday, obviously, because the Guardians turned into the Browns and put 17 on the board. But I think they had scored 1 run in their first 2 games, if you want to go that route. But Rays sweep a 3-gamer. Marlins lose 2 of 3 to the Giants. That's how the 2 Florida franchises began their season. Marlins stay on the West Coast, and they will play the Angels in a series before they will return home for their opener. But baseball just starting. NBA regular season ended last night. Everybody played yesterday. All 30 teams.
I think that's smart. I mean, as bad as week 17 the NFL can get when things are already set, at least we know everybody's, and all the games that matter are going to be kind of at the same time. I would take something from that if I were the other sports as best I could.
Although we're having some folks in our Twitch chat room go, well, this team didn't play. No, they played. They maybe just didn't play their guys. But all 30 teams did suit up yesterday in the Milwaukee-Cleveland game, which meant something for Cleveland and actually meant something for Milwaukee. Milwaukee with a win mark would have clinched the 2. But the 2 is likely going to put you in the way of Brooklyn in the first round. And so Milwaukee, Chris Middleton played for 8 seconds. And that's not an exaggeration. Played the first 8 seconds of the game because apparently he was 1 game played away from a $300,000 bonus. And so the Bucks started him. And 8 seconds into the game, Middleton intentionally committed a foul and jogged off the court. $300,000 appearance for Chris Middleton. And I would think you've got to get the coach has probably got to get the okay from management.
Absolutely.
On it. So, that shows that, some organizations would not have played him. And the Bucks are like, hey, he helped us win a title. What's $300,000 in the grand scheme of things? I mean, the payroll is about 120. What's $300,000?
It's not that big of a deal.
So certain teams mailed it in last night. Certain teams were playing hard. Luka got hurt. Final game of the year. Playing for seeding potentially. And they didn't control their fate. And Luka gets hurt. And, we're not talking, we don't think season-ending injury or anything like that, but we are talking an injury in which the average length of time missed this year from the injury that Luka just suffered. He suffered a calf injury, is over 2 weeks. Well, that's your first round best of 7 playoff series right there. So we talk about this many times. It's difficult. Big thing in the NBA right now, Mark, is guys aren't playing. Only 5 players this year played all 82 games in the whole league. 5.
That used to be damn near on a team. If you know what I mean.
Now, there were a lot of times even, Jordan and Ewing and Malone and them. Maybe they played 80 or 81 in a particular year out of 82. But yes, it was oftentimes in the late 80s and throughout the 90s that the stars played every night. And it's a big issue in the NBA. The commissioner came out on Friday and said this might be the biggest issue we have in the game, is that people are paying money and players aren't playing.
Yeah, I just kind of pulled up Jordan's here.
Oh, boy. This
82.
What year are we starting here?
80-45.
Okay.
Then he played 18. He got hurt.
Right. Knee injury.
82, 82, 81, 82, 82, 80, 78. Then baseball. Then he comes back and plays 17 games at the end of the 94-95 season. Then he went 82, 82, 82. Comes out of retirement, plays 60 with Washington, then plays 82 in his last season. Who do you want me to pull up next?
Well, listen, you could do the St. Carl Malone, John Stockton,
Magic Johnson,
Patrick Ewing. Yeah, absolutely.
Kareem.
Hakeem. Oh,
Right.
yeah. Different era. If you had said load management in the late 80s throughout the 90s, you would have been fired. Fired, not mocked, fired.
Or punched in the face?
That, you know what? That's definitely a possibility. Because that barely got you a technical a generation or two ago. So, but the commissioner came out and said it's our biggest problem in the league. People are paying good money and they're not seeing the star players. And it is the league based on stars. And star players are playing 60 to 65 games. Taking 1 out of every 4 or 5 games off? Seriously?
And look at the money's monopoly money, but they've never been paid more.
No.
And they've never had to play less.
Right. But here's Luka playing and playing hard, because there was a chance for Dallas to move up one spot in the seedings, move up from 4 to 3. They needed to win and have Golden State lose. And Luka suffers a calf injury. Final half of the final game of the year. And his status for their first round series very much up in the air. It's a risk you take. I mean, who was it? Was it Welker with the Patriots? Meaningless game in Houston before the 2010 playoffs, and he held out like 5-6 starters. Played Welker. Welker blows out his knee on a non-contact.
Mm-hmm.
You can't complain about those end of the season games. You got to rest your guys for the playoffs.
Okay. All right. It's the debate that will linger. The starting five is next. Thanks for listening. Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring Curtis in, and he says, Curtis, Scotty with a 6-shot lead. What will you say to him right now? 1,000, 2, 1,000. Curtis goes, nothing. And Tarico tries to go, well, and Curtis goes, no, he's 6-shot lead. He's got things under control. He goes, if I was his caddy, I would not speak to him. I would treat him like a pitcher throwing a no-hitter right now.
Bad own goal.
Classless here by Ovi, according to the texter there. Let me tell you, Caps all of a sudden have gotten hot. Penguins needed this one desperately. I hate the 3-on-3 so much.
Nuggets Warriors. That'll go to 7 games.
But heading into that game, the Penguins were only 2 points ahead of the Caps. And they've played 2 more games than the Caps.
Nuggets Warriors will go to 7 games.
Yeah, behind the Panthers are so much fun to watch. And it was nice to see people in the building. Klecko, the Masters wants him in the tower for as long as he can. And no one as of now knows why Haskins was on the highway.
Tragic.
Klecko, I think we're all a little tired of hearing about, never mind talking about.
Yeah, I
that
mean,
particular basketball team.
Klecko, you're on the, no offense, that's a question for another show, man.
Klecko, Greeny's on at 10. Why don't you try calling him?
And if not, Colin will address it. So will Dan. And Gottlieb will probably spend an inordinate amount of time on it.
What are you trying to say? Uh,
I'd stick with Miller and Moulton and Rich Eisen if you don't want to hear Laker talk today.
so another reason I had the Rich Eisen show nominated for an Emmy.
Twitch chat, if you can watch the latest episode of Winning Time, do it as soon as possible.
Tell you what, a lot of people. I mean, I got people in my circle who never comment about basketball who are like, "Hey, have you seen this?" And I'm like, "No, I don't have HBO." They're like, "This is pretty good."
It's one of the best shows I've seen in a
My
while.
buddy, I was with you. You watching Winning Time? He was, first off, where did they find these actors?
They're all so good.
Good. And they're tall. It's got to be the tallest set ever in Hollywood.
Probably. What I really am impressed with was Norm Nixon. He looks just like Norm Nixon.
What I'm really amazed by is what a Norm Nixon was.
What he was?
What a
Oh, whoa. Storm and Norman. But every time I watch it, I just can't believe that it exists. It's cool.
yeah. The NBA used to be really cool.
Used to throw the ball into the post. It was amazing.
They played defense.
A mid-range jumper.
Kareem, man. Come back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for starting your week off with us. Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Ron Sirak will join us from Augusta in an hour. AJ Hawk to join us in 2 hours to talk about the tragic passing of Dwayne Haskins, a few weeks shy of his 25th birthday, in an accident in which they're still piecing together how did this happen. Right now, it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Scotty Scheffler backing up his world number 1 ranking, shooting under par all 4 rounds, and despite a 4-jack on 18, the double bogey 6, he still ends up with a final round 71, and he cruises, winning the Masters by 3, his first major championship. Rory McIlroy with one of the greatest backdoor second places you'll ever see. 10 back at the beginning of the day. He holes a bunker shot on 18 for an 8 under 64, ties the best final round in Masters history. Cam Smith, Shane Lowry both ended up T3, 5 shots behind Scheffler. Tiger made it to the weekend, and then his game and physically, well, struggled. Pair of 78 Saturday and Sunday. 52 players made the cut. Tiger finished 47th. Yet even he considered the week a triumph. When asked by Sky Sports, when will we see you again, he would only commit to the Open Championship in 3 months at St. Andrews.
But he didn't say it like that.
No. Although Cara, who asked the question, sounded a little bit like that.
Fair enough.
I mean, she's got the accent.
Right.
And all.
He did call St. Andrews his favorite golf course, by the way, in that answer. That's not many people can get away with saying that while at Augusta.
Yeah, well, most people say either one. Jack is, we'll say Pebble, but I mean, Jack has been asked many times. He had one round left. He said, I'd play Pebble. But it is a good year for Tiger to play courses that he's had success on in the past. Won a PGA at Southern Hills in 2007, and that's where the PGA is in 5 weeks. He is not committed to playing in that as of yet.
Said he wants to play, but physically has no idea if he will be able to.
I think it was after Saturday. Maybe it was after Friday. I don't know. Watched a lot of golf, Mark, since we last did a show. And he was asked, what's next? And he said, quote, a lot of ice. But you could tell yesterday, I mean, even Tim Reynolds and others on Twitter saying that for his warm-up, that the limp before he had even, hit his first shot that count, that the limp was more noticeable before the round yesterday than it was at any point in time during the first 3 rounds. He was clearly struggling physically. It was the final day of the NBA regular season yesterday. All 30 teams in action. Playoff spots were not up for grabs, but a lot of playoff seeding was at stake. Miami and Orlando happened to finish the year against one another. The Heat mailed one in. It didn't matter. Magic, by the way, end up 22-60, second worst record in the league. Heat are the number 1 seed in the East. Meanwhile, Brooklyn beat Indiana. The Nets are the 7 seed. It means they will host the 7-8 play-in game, and that will be Cleveland. Cleveland is the 8 seed by beating Milwaukee by 18. The loss for the Bucks dropped them to the 3 seed, and Boston, by beating Memphis 139-110, the Celtics move up to be the 2. In theory, Brooklyn at home expected to beat Cleveland. Brooklyn would enter the playoffs as the 7. That means the Celtics, despite their very hot finish to the season, could end up playing the most dangerous team in the East, that the Brooklyn Nets. By the way, the Sixers victorious by 12. Embiid did not play, but he won the scoring title anyway. And the Sixers end up the 4 seed. They'll play Toronto in a 4-5 matchup. That'll be entertaining, actually. And remember, the one key Sixer can't play in the games in Toronto because he's not vaccinated. Golden State wrapped up the 3 seed in the West. They beat the Pelicans by 21. New Orleans, by the way, is the 9 seed. They will host the Spurs in the 9-10 play-in game. Winner of that game plays the loser of the 7-8 game to get in the playoffs. Spurs lost in Dallas by 10, but the big story, Luka with a calf injury. Mavs end up as the 4 seed. They'll play Utah in a first-round playoff series. The Jazz beat Portland by 31. By the way, for the record, Portland, after trading McCollum, went 6-22.
Ooh.
We had a little wager on the show here. They had 28 games left, and I said they wouldn't win a quarter of them, which is 7. Yep. So young Philly owes me. I don't know if I'm going to cash it in or if I'm just going to hold it over his head.
I just hold it over his head.
I'll hold this L. It's okay.
Lakers beat Denver in overtime. It'll be Frank Vogel's last game as Lakers coach. Kid you not, we've got the 4-letter network on the TV in the booth, and it says Vogel out as coach, and underneath, he will be notified of this later today.
Did Woj just fire Frank Vogel before the Lakers?
Vogel, I think, was fired on Wednesday.
I thought he was fired about a week ago.
Right. The Nuggets, by the way, enter the playoffs as the 6th seed, so Golden State Denver will be a first-round playoff series in the West. The Bulls enter as the 6th seed. They edged the T-Wolves last night. Minnesota's the 7th seed. Minnesota will host the Clippers in a play-in game. Clippers beat Oklahoma City by 50. Thunder with the 4th worst record in the league. Sacramento beat Phoenix. The Suns still end up with a team record 64 wins. Knicks beat the Raptors, but that doesn't matter. Charlotte ends up the 10 seed. They were hoping to move up and be the 8, but Charlotte beat Washington. Charlotte will have to go to Atlanta, Mark, in the 9-10 game in the East because the Hawks beat the Rockets, who end up with the worst record in the league. Houston went 20-62, 2 games worse than the Magic. Paid attention to all that, all the seeding and everything?
Hopefully
right.
There's not a test later.
NHL, Lightning, who have been struggling. Well, they returned home, which is always good. They played the Sabres, which is usually better, although Buffalo's been better of late. Lightning 5-0, and they move into 3rd in the division, a point ahead of Boston because the Bruins lost in Washington 4-2. Ovechkin with an empty netter. Both these teams right now, the Caps and the Bruins, are your wild card teams in the East. Penguins, 4 points ahead of the Caps for 3rd in the division, although they've played 2 more games. Penguins, Crosby 2 goals, including the winner in overtime, 3-2 over Nashville. Dallas moved 2 points ahead of Vegas for the final wild card spot in the West. They beat Chicago 6-4. Stars had all those games in hand at one point. Now they just have 1 game in hand over the Golden Knights, and they're 2 points ahead of them. Carolina moved back into first place by themselves with a 5-2 win over Anaheim. They're 2 points ahead of the Rangers. And the Wild 6-3 over the Kings. NFL news from the weekend. Many in the Washington and Pittsburgh organizations still reeling from the death of 24-year-old Dwayne Haskins, who was hit by a dump truck early Saturday morning, or was it yesterday?
Saturday morning.
Saturday morning. I-595 in Fort Lauderdale, where it connects there with I-95. Still do not know why it is that he was on the highway. He was in South Florida along with his Steelers teammates, and they were all working out together. But no idea why it was he was on the highway, and this happened at around 6:30 in the morning. Baseball, first weekend has come and gone. We mentioned it earlier. The only undefeated team is the Rays. They swept the 3-gamer from the Orioles, 8-0 the final. San Francisco took 2 of 3 for the Marlins, including 3-2 yesterday. Red Sox salvage a game in the Bronx. They beat the Yankees 4-3 last night. Reds split a 4-gamer with the Braves. 6-3 was the final Cincy. Oakland salvaged a game in Philly, 4-1. Washington salvaged 1 of 4 at home against the Mets. They scored 3 in the 8th to win 4-2. Texas got their first win of the year in Toronto, 12-6 the final. Guardians with their, first win in not franchise history, but what would that be when you change your name and you get your first
Guardian win?
Okay, 17-3 over the Royals. So the Browns beat the Chiefs yesterday. Minnesota took 1 of 3 from Seattle. They beat the Mariners 10-4. Pittsburgh salvaged the final game of the series in St. Louis, 9-4. Milwaukee did the same in the north side of Chicago, 5-4 over the Cubs. How about the Rockies taking 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, 9-4 the final. Houston took 3 of 4 from the Angels, 4-1 was the final. White Sox took 2 of 3 against the Tigers, 10-1 was the final yesterday. And the Padres took 3 of 4 from Arizona. The only game they lost was that 4-run ninth on the walk-off. But 10-5 San Diego yesterday. They're 3-1 to start the year. And one other note from the weekend, you may have missed it, Saturday night NASCAR. They were in Martinsville. William Byron picked up his 2nd win of the season. Our buddy Ross Chastain, the watermelon farmer from Alva, Florida, he passed Kurt Busch on the final lap to get a top 5 out of the deal. He finished 5th.
Yeah, started 23rd in that race, I think.
Yeah. And He was just constantly making his way up, trying to figure out the pit stops. And because they went for long runs there. I mean, you could do 100 laps without pitting. But Chastain is on a roll. He's on not quite a Scotty Scheffler heater mark with only one win, but that is 5 top 5s in his last 6 races.
Yep.
And that was...
You've heard, folks. That was the starting
Whoops.
5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
That was the wrong one. Mondays,
Actually, no, we don't.
No? Oh,
No, we don't.
maybe it's just me.
Yeah, well, it's early in your career. You still give yourself mulligans. Just... And it's good you're not too hard on yourself. That's good because this business will beat you up as it is. But we do have a question in the Twitch chat room. Why does 9 play 10 and 7 play 8 and what have you in the NBA? Why is it 7, 8, 9, and 10 are in the playoff? Why does 7 not play 10 and 8 play 9? And that's a good question.
Because why would you question something like that? That's how they put it in.
I think it's because they
want 7 or 8 in.
Yes, and they want to give them the best chance of getting in, and so that's why they do it that way. If you think about it, they give the loser of 7, 8 a mulligan, as Felipe would say, to therefore make the playoffs. Whereas if you did it the other way, it would not happen, potentially.
Are you a fan of the play-in?
It's funny. I think it has value.
It does.
Which is surprising because it's already a league in which more than half the teams in it make the playoffs. But like this year, for example, like if you're a Spurs fan, they're a young team. They're not good yet, but the hope is by next year, they'll be pretty good. Well, but this whole play-in thing, this gave them something to play for down the stretch, and they played hard and they played well. And now, at the very least, as a fan, you're going to get to see them play a genuinely meaningful game, and they have not played one in 3 years.
And at the end of the day, it is the fan bases that win from this. That's why I'm for it. I don't like it in theory because you play 82 games and you should be able to determine who the playoff teams are. But to David's point, this actually benefits fan bases. This puts 4 more fan bases in the hunt. And I think that in and of itself is worth it.
So much to my surprise, I find the benefits outweighing the disadvantages.
And one year there'll be a 10 that'll go on a Cinderella run and make the playoffs, maybe even beat a 1 seed. Who knows?
Well,
now
that would be something. And when that happens, then we'll see whether or not they still stick with this, whether they think it's a good idea or not.
Because the one thing the NBA does not like is 1 seeds to go out early. Very rarely has it ever happened, and they don't like it. And that's part of the reason they switched to 4 out of 7. 3 out of 5, there was a lot better chance for upsets. 4 out of 7, the better team usually gets it done.
I will say the matchups are pretty sexy this year. This might be the best first round on paper that the NBA has had in a long time. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. Florida Sports Network.
The John Smith subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith subs. Find a John Smith subs location near you today.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial.
and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Problem is the hockey playoffs. It's still hockey regular season.
When does the
Playoffs
NHL
start May 2nd, 3rd, something like that.
There's the answer to my question.
I think the season ends on the 1st, so the season ends in 3 weeks. So we're going to go with that for the poll question?
Sure.
Dude, are we late? Okay.
That's way fast.
We got 10 seconds now.
Okay.
Dude.
Dude.
Dude, are we late?
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton on this Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Many of you probably took in quite a bit of Masters. And it didn't have the drama that it normally produces, although many a great shot. Though it is weird to have a Masters with no eagles on 15. It seems as if, the lengthening of the course mark has made a few of the holes not as entertaining.
I was surprised. I guess, the winds had maybe a little bit to do with it as well on 15. It was windy all weekend, but guys got to the green in 2. They just didn't make any putts.
Although I thought I saw more wedges in the 15 than normal.
You did. You did. More guys laid up.
Yep. The 20 yards made a difference along with the winds. So first Masters since 65 in which there was not an eagle made on 15. 11 is a hole that, they made the changes that they made trying to bring the lake into, which I thought was interesting. They wanted to bring the lake, the pond into play, yet they kept putting the pin on the right side of the green to keep the water out of play. I didn't quite understand that, but Scotty Scheffler, a winner. It's his 4th win in 2 months. From Super Bowl Sunday to Masters Sunday, February 13th to April 10th, 4 wins. That's a heater, baby.
I think it's safe to say you don't bet on him this week because he made it pretty evident he was taking the week off.
Be interesting to see if he can keep this up between now and the PGA. Story that generated a lot of discussion is very much a 21st century story, very much a 2020s story. It's what someone tweeted. You heard about Dwayne Haskins' tragedy, getting hit and being killed 3 weeks before what would have been his 25th birthday. And Adam Schefter had the news first. And I don't know if you saw the original tweet.
I did not.
All right. So I'm good. Well, this is good. I'm going to read it to you then. And I don't know how many of you heard or read the original tweet. And just decide for yourself if, how it is you react to this tweet. Dwayne Haskins, a standout at Ohio State before struggling to catch on with Washington and Pittsburgh in the NFL, died this morning when he got hit by a car in South Florida, per his agent, Cedric Saunders. Haskins would have turned 25 years old on May 3rd. Many people took exception to the before struggling to catch on with Washington and Pittsburgh in the NFL. They found it to be rude, insensitive, and can't quite gauge how long it took, but it was pretty quick. I'd say within a half an hour that Schefter altered the tweet to read, Dwayne Haskins, a standout at Ohio State, before becoming Washington's first-round pick and playing in Pittsburgh, comma. And then the rest of the tweet is the same. Well, in this day and age, Mark, people want their pound of flesh, and they want it from Adam Schefter.
I was in a group text, and that's how I had found out. And someone had sent me, because Schefter's not alone in this, someone had sent me something from a fantasy site that said Dwayne Haskins dies in South Florida car crash. More details on this news will be available soon. And underneath it had the fantasy impact. Please check back shortly for the fantasy impact. And people were...
Yeah, found that to be a bit insensitive.
You think?
Right. Right.
I don't get why anyone upon someone's death would put those sentences together. I really don't, David.
You mean about before struggling to catch on with Washington and Pittsburgh in the NFL?
What does that have to do with the lead? Dwayne Haskins, former first-round pick, dies in car crash. Pretty much sums it up.
True.
What else do you have to put? Why is that he struggled even relevant?
It seems like he's outing him. That's the
Yes,
thing.
it does.
It's completely unnecessary.
Well, that was certainly, at least on Twitter, the overwhelming response. Many of those that were bent out of shape were athletes. I mean, they were not, they reacted first. And there's a little bit more to this story. They haven't necessarily been happy with Schefter for a while now. They find him to be a little too cold. He's in the pocket of agents and executives. You know, both Wojnarowski and Schefter make their living getting information, but there are those that get their information through players and through agents who are representing players. And there are those that get their information mostly from agents and or executives. Wojnarowski and Schefter get their information from front offices and from agents trying to, you know, push an agenda. So you've got the double-edged sword of that. When you get your information from the agent, you know, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. He did credit the agent. I mean, he said, hey, the agent was the one that told me that he died. I mean, he did, you know, put that in the tweet. But yeah, he took a bit of a swipe at him. Said, hey, you know, he wasn't a good NFL player. Before struggling to catch on with Washington and Pittsburgh in the NFL. Now, I got to admit, I mean, he didn't crush the guy.
No, he didn't crush him.
He just said he struggled. I mean,
I just don't see the point.
Right. And that was...
There was 0 point to add. The man died. I think that's enough for the day, everyone.
Well, and that's basically what folks said. And so obviously, hey, he changed the tweet quickly. Now, he did not apologize on Twitter at all. Hey, you know, my remarks, I was, you know, I just had my reporter's hat on and I was just, you know, thinking about this analytically and I failed to take into account that.
And I'd call bull on you there too.
Okay, well, but I'm saying he didn't do it. And I got to admit, Mark, in this day and age, I don't know if I would apologize on Twitter either for just that reaction. Because even if the apology is sincere, most people would go, he didn't mean it. He's just trying to cover his butt. At which point, why apologize? Publicly, anyway. I mean, why? I mean, you can pick up the phone privately and call a bunch of people that you respect. You can, which reportedly he's doing, by the way.
And we'll see if that changes the way he approaches certain things.
Right. Right. And this is the culmination, you know, for behind the curtain. This is the culmination of people in the league who are not executives who feel that Schefter's just a little too cold.
And if you're getting all your information from the front office, players probably don't like that because it generally doesn't bode well for you. The agents are going to, in the player's eyes, the agents are going to do what, David? Tell the side of the player, be for the player. And as you even said, push the agenda of the player on occasion. Well, the front office is going to push their agenda.
And if you're getting more of your information from the front offices, you then come across as anti-player. So that's kind of the game within the game here. And obviously Adam Schefter for ESPN's a big deal. I mean, they just re-upped him at between 8 and 10 million a year. That's right. Adam Schefter makes between 8 and 10 million a year. And the thought is it's 10. And Wojnarowski makes 8. And Schefter makes more because it's the NFL versus the NBA, and he's been there longer. So that's kind of the whole little Twinner controversy involving the tragedy that is Dwayne Haskins. There was one other tweet. 90-year-old Gil Brandt needs to not do interviews anymore.
No.
Because his comments were appalling about Dwayne Haskins. And it'd be interesting to see if Gil Brandt, who's a Hall of Famer and is beloved by NFL Network Radio, whether or not Gil can. And his apology did seem, once again, heartfelt and sincere, and it was lengthy.
It was lengthy, and he threw himself under the bus.
Yes, he did. And it will be interesting to see if he can get a mulligan and he can finish his life and career in good standing, or whether or not they're going to do to him what, they've done to many others.
And we'll know that pretty quickly because Gil's always been a big part of the draft.
Right.
On NFL radio. So we'll know the outcome of this one sooner than later.
And he hosts, I think, 2 nights a week. He's co-host with Alex Marvez on NFL Network Radio. So we'll know here pretty quickly if he's not on the air this week, then something's gone on. Miller and Moulton. But that's the story behind the story.
But we got to get to a poll question in this show.
Yeah, we do.
We had a good nomination in the Twitch chat room.
Yes.
I think it's worthy of putting up. Just very simply, what sport you'd be watching the most of for the next month? We're limiting it to the big 3: Major League Baseball, the NBA, and the NHL.
So you don't want to put NASCAR?
I could.
It's up to you. It's up to you. Think about it.
Look at you. Look at you.
Yeah, hey, I got to admit, find myself watching a lot more NASCAR on a consistent basis than I have in the last 3 to 5 years, and it's because of Chastain.
Well,
I mean, 5 top 5s in his last 6 races. We're fans. I mean, we know him. We've had him on the show.
A bunch.
I'm invested.
It's really easy to root for him as
Yeah.
well. Hell, I just drove through Elva over the weekend, David.
I am very curious to see how this poll question goes.
You're going to be
Very disappointed.
You could really be disappointed by the time this is over with.
This is the time of the NBA that sells. We'll see.
Here's my only thing, and I've always said this. The NBA playoffs reach a crescendo. You see, I think, hockey playoffs start, and they're great. And I actually sometimes think hockey playoffs can get worse because of the injuries and the attrition of the players, whereas I think the NBA playoffs get better. First couple rounds of the NBA typically aren't that exciting. There are really good matchups, and the whole Brooklyn in that 7-8 game adds a lot of first-round excitement that the NBA does not usually have. So, Felipe, while the vote may not go your way, what you want out of the playoffs could very well go your way, because I think the first round is as riveting as it's been in a long, long time.
And Felipe, you cannot vote the Chicago way. You cannot just keep voting and voting and voting. We need your word on that. Miller and Moulton. Ron Sirak live from Augusta in 25 minutes here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I'll make you a little wager that hockey wins.
Hockey, Major League Baseball, NBA. And then what was the last one? NASCAR. The NBA is winning this one.
Get the brand new home security system.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say the guy, I thought, did a great job. He was there a long time, took his time with it. And we've got a back door in the second bathroom. You can go through that door to get to the lanai. It's the only way to get to the lanai except going through our sliding glass doors. And first day or two, everything with the alarm system was fine. And all of a sudden, Friday night or what have you, in the middle of the night, my alarms go off. Get up, what have you, and I look, and it's, the back door is open. And I look, door's closed, locked. Okay. So I turn off the alarms. It's middle of the night, dogs barking like crazy. And ever since, for whatever reason, and I can't get the door closed enough. Every now and then I tensely pull it and I lock it and I've got it jammed and the alarm will catch it and it'll be like, okay. And I'll be sitting on the couch and 20 minutes later and all of a sudden I hear boop, 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 boop. And it says the door's
You
open.
brought the guy back over yet?
Well, it happened over the weekend. So
yeah, they'll probably hopefully just can move the sensors.
Yeah, golly, because now I can't put the alarms on, which is fine. I don't need that. But in a week, someone else is going to need that.
I'll tell you what, it'll peace of mind. Like we have one in our house. It goes on every night.
Right.
We set it every night.
Mm-hmm.
Nice little peace of mind.
Yeah. The only bad thing is because it happened somewhat regularly is somebody would forget about it in the middle of the night and take the dog out and set the alarms off. And it happened numerous times.
Julie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got to get that. It was funny. We said it when we left because we had all the animals gone. Maddie just walks right in the house. He was like, running to.
Yep. You won't watch any of the choices. Because remember, the question is what you will watch the most of. So you won't watch any NBA playoffs in the next 3 weeks.
Any Major League Baseball.
And any of the final 3 weeks of the NHL season.
Or NASCAR. I put it on there.
Yeah, or NASCAR.
Probably should have put golf instead of NASCAR, but.
Although I got to admit, this is not the.
Yeah, it's 4 weeks before because you don't even have a major. I just ticked Philly off because I told him, it's going to win is NHL.
Yeah, the pitching is good. That pitching's good enough to win a World Series.
NHL off to a lead already.
Oh my God. Have fun with that lead. The NBA's winning.
Well, we'll see.
I don't think the NBA will finish first or second in this poll question.
If people think about their answer.
No. They do.
That's
think
not it at all.
No, hold on.
It's a question. What will you watch the most of? It's not of what's the most important. What's the most important to Felipe? It's what will you watch the most of?
If they think, they will realize that this is going to be a playoffs that does not feature LeBron James.
It doesn't matter. We're in a market that hates the NBA.
Yes, but
our big in Tampa, in every market that we're in, is not an NBA market. Anybody in Tampa listen is going to press hockey. They've got the Lightning.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Man, we are getting after each other pretty early in the show and the week. I mean, you and Felipe are verbally throwing it down early. First 90 minutes of the week.
Oh, it started before the show.
I know it did. I was the last one to arrive, which doesn't normally happen. And I walk in and all I hear is, I don't want to say yelling, but animated conversation. And it wasn't this, but it sounded like this. You suck. No, you suck. You suck more. I mean, it just seemed to have that kind of vibe to it.
I broke Philly's heart, and I didn't even mean to. He came in and he asked me about a prospective car that he wants to buy. And I said, I like it, but I think it's a bit of a girl's car. And it was obvious when I gave the answer that Philly had heard that from somebody else before, because the color ran from his face and he just was so bummed out.
It's not a girl car if you soup it up.
Keep telling yourself that.
Whatever. And
this poll question that we have, what you're going to watch the most of, Felipe has taken this question to heart.
FloridaSportsNetwork.com, FL Sports Network, that Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter. Which sport will you be watching the most of for the next month? 4 choices: MLB, NBA, NHL, NASCAR, and yes, can you just do us a favor? Don't send us the texts and the tweets about EPL or golf. It's a poll question. It's got 4 results. You pick one of the 4, you don't vote. All right. It's really that simple. It's not that complicated. Okay.
And we could have put golf instead of NASCAR, but the month keeps us before the PGA.
Well, the next 2 races are the Dirt, Bristol, and Talladega.
Right.
I mean, it's a sexy rest of the month.
Right.
For NASCAR. So we threw that in. We thought also slower time for golf. I mean, in between Masters and PGA, slower. From PGA to U.S. Open, you got PGA, then Jack's tournament a couple weeks later, then the U.S. Open. So if we were in that stretch, we would have included golf. I will say this, and this may shock you, and Felipe may start doing the happy dance. Normally, when given these 4 choices, I would just tap NHL. But, I mean, it's the final 3 weeks of the regular season. They're just, in the East, they're only playing for seeding. I mean, the 8 playoff teams have been determined since before the Rams won the Super Bowl. I mean, there's been no suspense in half of the NHL. And for that matter, there's like 4 teams fighting for 2 wild card spots in the West. That's about it there. I mean, it's not like we got a bunch of spots up for grabs. They're playing the final 3 weeks for seeding. That's not terribly exciting. I mean, you got to acknowledge that. That's not terribly exciting. And you and I are big hockey fans.
No, but I will watch more NHL because I find the product terrific. And the 2 Florida teams have as good a product as they've ever had combined in the history of both teams.
Agreed. Agreed. The Panthers are just a great watch right now. And of course, we're all waiting for the Lightning to go, okay, this was cute. This was boring. Can we play for real now?
And at least by the end of this, will we be starting the playoffs? By the time, I guess in the next, if we said the next 30 days, the playoffs would start.
They do. They start the first week of May. And with it being early in the baseball season, hope still springs eternal.
Except for the Orioles.
Well, that is true. That is true. Hope died before Scotty Scheffler 4-putted to win the Masters. Yes, absolutely. But, Mark, there is a chance, and I'm going to catch a lot of heat for this. There is a chance, because I haven't voted yet. There's a chance the NBA could win.
Is hockey third in your world right now? Is hockey fourth in your world on this? Because you like the beginning of the baseball season, and I know you love baseball, period, but the first month of the baseball season, you and I have talked about this. When you look at the standings around Memorial Day, they typically don't change a whole hell of a lot. So the first month of baseball is important.
Boy, it's just tough to admit. I mean, NASCAR only plays once a week, so to speak, but I have found myself watching the entire races. I watched all of Martinsville. I had a wild Saturday night, Mark. Wild. Nuts. And that was a rain delay, too. They didn't start on time. Yeah. I had it going on, man.
You are a machine.
Yes, I am.
Nothing screams desperation quite like a Saturday night at home alone watching NASCAR.
On FS1.
Well, you found it. That's half the battle.
Another thing you have to consider is that every single NBA playoff game is nationally televised.
Here's the deal. I'm just going to give you a little bit of advice. If we make your case for you, that benefits your cause more than you trying to make your case for you.
I just wanted to point out a fact.
No, I understand. But you actually want to see the NBA do well in this poll. And I am telling you that your best chance right now is for old white guy here to go, hey, these playoff matchups are actually very compelling. As you said, Mark, earlier, this might be the most compelling first round of the NBA playoffs since they've turned the first round into a best of 7. There are more interesting series this year in the NBA playoffs right out of the chute than I think you could ever argue before.
The 1 and 2s in the West are going to walk through without a problem. Beyond that, I think you've got a crapshoot between the other matchups.
Yeah. Denver can beat Golden State in a 3-6. Now, I don't think Denver has legs because neither Murray nor Porter are coming back in the playoffs. But first off, Kerr said yesterday, I don't know if Steph's back for game 1. So if all of a sudden, if Steph is not there, or he's only going to play half the series, or he's only going to be 70%, it's Jokic against Draymond and Clay? Denver can get out of the first round. Now they can't do much more than that. If Dallas now all of a sudden doesn't have Luka, then, because Utah has finished the season horribly, Dallas was going to steamroll the Jazz. Well, now that's a totally different story.
We've already made all the cases about Brooklyn's going to end up playing
Boston
in the first round. No one has any clue what's going to happen there. Miami damn well should walk through.
But even they could end up with Trae Young and the Hawks, which is a pretty, Trae Young, the one hot shooting week and you're out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And the Heat live and die with threes. If they have a bad week shooting, they're done too.
And it's not a week. It's a bad 4 games.
Well, it takes about a week. They
But
play every other day.
they can play 3 great games. It doesn't matter. That's, Trae's only got to get hot so many times for that to be a series really quickly.
Now, I will say Milwaukee's going to steamroll Chicago in the 3-6 matchup, but also, let me tell you, if Philly gets Toronto, and I know everybody be looking ahead to Philly and potentially going deep, that Toronto series is not going to be easy, especially since you have no idea what James Harden you're going to get. The ballet, it's a good thing it's Toronto, because if that series was in Montreal, Harden in the strip clubs of Montreal, the Sixers would have no shot.
None whatsoever. So there is a great case to be made for the NBA. The only thing that's made against it is that The markets that we're in are not big NBA markets. Tampa's a gigantic NHL market. This market that we do the show out of, Fort Myers and Naples, is one of the 3 best NHL markets that's not an NHL city in the country. So
The Lightning are bigger here than the Heat.
oh yeah. I don't know if the Lightning are bigger than the Heat. The NHL is bigger than the NBA here.
In Southwest Florida. And I would argue it's probably the same way up along I-75, all the way to Lake City.
See, I can agree with NHL being bigger than the NBA, but I think that the Heat are bigger than the Lightning.
I think you're right. But the problem is you've got the Bruin fan, you've got the Ranger fan, you've got so many other fan bases that are down here.
That are along I-75. You even have the Minnesota fans. And yeah. So that's our poll question. Which sport you're going to find yourself watching the most of over the course of the next month? Ron Sirak, live from Augusta, next, Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove, with a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals. The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Quick fun fact, everybody. I saw John Smith Subs yesterday.
Now, he didn't say he had one.
No. I saw one. And I just had lunch, so there was no way I could do it again. I just had a French dip at the Breakers, to be honest with you, Klecko, so there was no room for the Italian. Although the Italian, I probably get about 3 of them for what the French dip at the Breakers cost.
Did you see the tweet McBain sent out?
And not.
So he proposed, and they're getting married next month down in Southwest Florida, actually. But 2 years ago when he proposed at a golf course. I don't know if it's technically in Arlington or not, but it's a golf course that Scheffler and one or two other tour pros just kind of fart around at. And when McBain proposed, he proposed on the tee, she worked at the course and what have you. He asked somebody to take the picture because he choreographed it and what have you. And they had just teed off on this particular hole, and waiting to tee off behind him was Scheffler and somebody else. So the first person that congratulated him on his engagement was Scotty Scheffler.
Oh, really?
And so McBain sent out the tweet that, just saying that. And he goes, and by the way, they have been invited to the wedding.
So my buddy's older brother, his wife is Jewish, and they're very Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
So we played the dreidel game after dinner. I was laughing. I've never knew there was a dreidel game. I just knew Zito and Garrett used to play that dreidel, dreidel, dreidel song all the time during Hanukkah. I'm like, all right, there's a game that goes with this. Who knew?
Uh, 30 seconds, and I'm about to call.
All right. Yeah, this was the phone call that got us in trouble Friday. Ron Sirak, 7:38.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. AJ Hawk to join us 1 hour from now. Our poll question at that Mark Miller, at the David Moulton, at FL Sports Network, and also at floridasportsnetwork.com. Which sport will you be watching the most over the course of the next month? You have 4 choices. Please vote accordingly. Ron Sirak's kind enough to join us once again, live from Augusta. Ron, it's David and Mark. When is the last time you won the lottery to play on the Monday after the Masters?
1998. Yep. That's the only time I played Augusta. And I'll tell you what, here's my takeaway from what we just saw these last few days at Augusta. That golf course never ceases to amaze me. It is just such a brilliant golf course and just a true test of the players out there. And we saw it on Sunday. The genius of that golf course is there is a 64 out there, and as we saw, we do. And go to the back nine with a 4-stroke lead, 5-stroke lead. Tournament's not over.
And lots of birdies yesterday, probably as many guys in red figure Sunday as there were on any day of the entire week. It kept decreasing from Thursday through Sunday. But obviously, my co-host contended going into the week, come on, you got to win a major to be the number one player in the world. Well, Scotty Scheffler did just that. He was damn near unflappable, wasn't he, Ron?
Yeah, he's won 4 of his last 6 tournaments now. And, he's got that kind of calm that really serves you well in major championships. He's really wired for major championship golf, and we didn't see him start to unravel until he got to the 72nd hole and 4-putted the final green there. It seemed like for a while like he was never going to finish that hole, but the key shot was the chip in on the 3rd hole. Everything could have gone sideways then, but then again, one of the great. I mean, here's what I love about Augusta: the 2 holes that they have not messed with on that golf course are number 3, one of the great short par 4s in all of golf, and number 12, one of the great short par 3s in all of golf. And those are the 2 key holes: chip in by Scheffler on 3, ball into the water on 12 by Cam Smith.
Ron, at this point, it's almost unfathomable that anyone in contention would fire at the Sunday pin on 12. And yet, seemingly, if it's not every year, it's every other year that somebody falls victim to it. I mean, Ron, it's the most watched golf tournament in the world. There's no one playing in the field that has not been warned, whether by announcers, caddies, other fellow golfers. You do not go after the Sunday pin placement.
Well, I hate the word choke, but I'll say this: one of the aspects of losing focus on the golf course is making bad decisions. We saw it the year Tiger won in 2019. There were probably 4 other people who should have won the golf tournament that year, and they all rinsed it on number 12. Again, the brilliance of that golf hole is when you're standing on the tee, you cannot really feel what the wind is doing, and you could see it. You could see it on TV a bunch of times where the flag on 12 blow in one direction, the flag on 11's blow in the other direction. The trees block out the wind. You can't feel what it's going to do, and you only have to hit the ball a little bit to hit it in the water, and that's what Cam did, and he knew it as soon as the ball left his club. He knew where it was going to end up.
Well, there's no doubt, and that was the end for him. And you saw, boy, the unraveling thereafter.
Yeah.
Where can Scotty Scheffler go in your estimation, Ron? Because he's 25. This is now, 4 of the last 6. Now he's got a major under his belt. He had a great Ryder Cup. These are all things that at the age of 25, we don't expect of anyone. So how high can we set the bar for this young man?
Well, now we see how he handles this. He had the great Ryder Cup, and you're right, and he used that as a springboard to go forward. He got the number 1 in the world rankings, and it didn't really seem to phase him. Now he's a major champ, and all of a sudden, all these other distractions come into play. He's going to get no endorsement deals thrown at him. He's going to get new media requests. He's going to have all this off the golf course stuff thrown in his direction. And it's all, how well do you handle that? Tiger Woods, when Tiger was full Tiger, was brilliant at saying the word no. He knew how to manage his time, and he knew how to block things out and just keep his focus on golf. We'll see now if Scotty can do that. Every indication is, yes, that he is wired the right way. He is wired to be able to keep his focus on competitive golf. But the test is now. Let's see how he handles it between now and the PGA Championship, and see how he performs in his first major as a major champion.
Ron Sirak, legendary golf writer. You see him occasionally these days also on the Golf Channel. You can follow Ron on Twitter at Ron Sirak, Sirak. Well, you mentioned Tiger, and we got a little bit of everything, but we also got, he's physically compromised. And this is going to be very hard going forward. Of all the things that he said and did, what is your takeaway from the amazing weekend that Tiger Woods participated in, the 2022 Masters?
Yeah, I think we saw what in our hearts we sort of knew, which was even if he did make the cut, he was going to run out of gas eventually because he hadn't played in over 500 days in competitive situation, and that's a hard golf course to walk. And the fact is, he willed his way to making that cut. He did not play all that well. Tiger Woods is led the world in greens and regulation, and he was missing greens there, and his putter kept him in it the first 2 days. And then all of a sudden on the weekend, he kept missing greens, and this comes when you get tired too. He lost his feel with the putter, and then things started going sideways. What I loved that I saw there is, I think Tiger is appreciating golf, loving golf more now than he ever has in his life, and that was one of my takeaways from those first 2 days. Is I looked at him and I said, man, this guy just loves to play golf, and he's going to do what his body lets him do. I don't know when we're going to see him again. Maybe it'll be at the PGA in May. He says he wants to go to St. Andrews in July. for the British Open. But that's, to me, is what we should take away from all this, is that Tiger just loves to play golf, and he's going to do everything he can to get out there.
The changes of the course, 11 was the hardest played hole. 15 did not yield an eagle. Do you see going forward that they may alternate, from the back tees and move them up depending on winds? Because one of the things that the patrons love about 15 is a 3. And with very few chances to get one, do you see where, depending on what the weather is, they may adjust that tee in years coming?
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen so few eagles at the Masters. Look, about 5-6 years ago, when they first really started lengthening the golf course, the roar started to disappear on the weekend, and the Green Jackets didn't like that. They loved the roars. So what they've been doing the last few years, and we saw it again this weekend, the hardest setup is always on Saturday, and then Sunday they try to make it a little bit more of a birdie-friendly setup. And part of the genius of Augusta National is if you hit your targets, the ball's going to feed to the hole. There's all these bowls, and they can put the hole locations in there. But if you miss your target by even a yard or two, it's going to feed away from the hole, and you're going to have a 50-foot putt. So I do think that they want to have birdies and eagles, particularly on Sunday. At the same time, they're trying to deal with the fact that people hit the golf ball 350 yards right now. And I think that the Masters at Augusta National might be the first person to really take a stand on distance, but they seem to be willing to follow the USGA and the RNA to see where they're going. But no question about it, they like those roars on Sunday. They want there to be birdies and eagles on Sunday.
What do you make of Cameron Smith going forward? He's another guy. He's on a good run, obviously. The players, he's a great putter, and usually guys don't lose that overnight until they get to a certain age. But what do you make of Cam Smith going forward? Like Dottie Pepper made the comment late in the broadcast that she sees him winning one of these one day. And I always think that that's a very dangerous thing to say in golf. But when you watch Cam Smith, what do you think?
Well, I think he's got all the tools to win that. Particularly, he's got a great short game. What he's got to do is learn from what happened yesterday. When he hit that ball in the water on 12, the wheels came off big time. I mean, you could just see he did not have a chance from there on in. His swing was out of sync, and he let it discombobulate him. And great champions know how to bounce back from mistakes. And he did not show that ability yesterday to bounce back from a mistake. Let's see if he learns from that. Let's see going forward. It's going to be fascinating to see how he performs in his next major championship now. Does he use this as a springboard to a next level, or does this become a stumbling block where it's always going to be in the back of his mind now? I had a chance. He makes that birdie in 11, and he's right there. He's right there putting pressure on Scotty, and he let it slip away with that one horrid swing on 12.
Yeah, I was actually impressed that he got it to finish to T3 because it was going so sideways that I was actually happy for him that he was actually able to get it together for a couple of holes at the end, because you're right, he was discombobulated for 3 holes, bare minimum.
Let me ask you guys a question. What do we think of Rory McIlroy? Was that a great round, or was it another case of Rory getting a backdoor number 2, shooting 64 when 64 was going to get him not quite there? To me, it's astounding that it's been 8 years since he's won a major championship. And I just don't understand how somebody that talented goes 8 years without winning.
I don't understand how he can be the wedge player that he is. And I don't know, Ron, if it's practice.
Oh.
I can't contemplate somebody that's that good at the game, that hits the driver that well. And I get that putting is streaky and not everybody's a great putter, but to me, it's the wedge game that I can't figure out. Yesterday, he was on in all aspects, but until he has a consistent wedge game, I think it's just another, Sergio did this for a long time, Ron, and now Rory's given us some of those backdoor top 10s, and this time a backdoor top 2.
There was a time when Dustin Johnson would go out and win one tournament every year. and he couldn't build on it. Then he had his 6-month hiatus from competitive golf, and all he did during that 6 months was work on his wedge game. Then all of a sudden he came back, and he could get the ball up and down from 100 yards, and he couldn't do that before. And then he started to win in big bunches. And that's what Rory, I mean, for the life of me, great players. I remember I knew Annika Sorenstam really well. At the end of every season, she would study her stats, she'd identify her weakness, and she'd work on that in the off season. And Rory has not learned how to be. I mean, from 100 yards in, he's like a 12 handicap out there. I mean, he is a horrid wedge player. I don't know why he hasn't been able to fix that.
Ron, since we're pressed for time, I'll make this quick. I think it was a backdoor. And I say that because the one time that he looked at the leaderboard and said, wow, I still have an outside chance at this, he misses his last 3 fairways, and he misses the 15-footer for birdie at 16. And I don't want to say the bunker shot was lucky, but it was fluky. And so to me, it's the best round at Augusta. It's his best finish at Augusta, but it was very backdoor. I don't think he shoots that if he's in contention. He shot that because he started 10 back.
He made a couple of impressive up and downs over the last couple of holes, but you're absolutely right. 15 and 16, he's got to birdie at least one of those to keep the pressure on. And then who knows what happens to Scotty. But he didn't birdie 15, didn't birdie 16, and I felt once again, exactly, I agree with you, it was right there for him, and he couldn't take it the extra step.
And then for the greatest driver in the world to hit that tee shot at 17, it's like, where the heck did this come from? But Ron, as always, we appreciate your time and your insights. Safe travels, and we will talk to you again.
Talk to you down the road, my friend.
Ron Sirak has been very gracious to us over the years, joining us once again. You see his work on the Golf Channel. You can read it at many different places. Follow him on Twitter, Ron Sirak, Sirak.
Well, we were all in agreement on Rory, and now let's just see where Scotty Scheffler can go after winning his first major. And I thought Ron made a great point. Now that he's won one, how does the game go now that more is expected of him than was before?
This is very couples-like 30 years ago. Freddie kept going forward for a while. We'll see what Scotty does. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for being with us here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library
and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, the Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
How you doing over there, Philly?
Man, that look, you have not given either one of us the death look that you just gave Mark. Wow. He didn't do anything, He just,
It's only an hour in.
he just told you that's true. It could get worse, but hello. The point of it, is that our audience, the West Coast of Florida right now, is not an NBA audience. As painful as that is for you to, at some point, have to come to grips with. Now, I will say, we start to get affiliates on the East Coast. We're going to get Daytona here coming up in the spring. If we can land West Palm, that now you're at least within sniffing distance of Miami. That we'll see. I even saw a tweet from 1010XL in Jacksonville. They did an Orlando Magic segment late last week of some kind, and they're 2 hours away from there.
It's also not as many young people here.
No doubt in the state.
And then Tampa does have a lot of young people, but I don't know how NBA's because it's not an NBA. I mean,
it's also the heart of the Lightning. So
but the Raptors played there last year. Didn't go.
No.
They didn't have any juice.
They didn't really ask for that though. Like they kind of.
No, you're right.
happened.
But I was just talking to somebody that I know that lives in Tampa now. And it's like when they live in St. Pete and they go out to dinner in Tampa. And it was like, hey man, this guy's my age. He goes, I'm old when I go out in Tampa now. Because Tampa's young. Tampa's gotten young fast, which is great.
Mm-hmm. It's fun.
But you know what the other thing is that has hurt the demise of the Orlando Magic? Mark and I, early in our run here, we would at least once a year we'd go to a Rays game because this station was a Rays affiliate and they'd have affiliate night. And the one time that we went, Dwight Howard was there throughout the first pitch. Right. And this was Dwight Howard right before he and the Magic, had their 2009, 2010 renaissance there. So we're talking maybe 07.
Yeah.
Now I will say the jersey was funny. It kind of hung down to, they put a Rays jersey on him and it hung down to like his calves, but
it was baggy style back then.
Yeah, it was.
Those were weird times, man.
But like, people were excited that he was there and all that. I mean, the Magic, that franchise is dead.
Yeah, they're not.
I mean,
I told you guys when I was there, and the TV announcer, I don't know what affiliate it was. Well, only 3 left, thank God. That's and they're covering this every day, and they're just sick of it because it's so bad.
There's a great 30 for 30 about the Magic.
Yes.
Great 30 for 30.
Yes. And you watch it. And by the way, that's what the NBA thought that franchise was going to be.
Yep.
Forever. Players were going to want to come there always. Florida, the taxes. Orlando was going to be the Florida franchise, not Miami.
Boy, how wrong they were. Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. And we thank you for starting your week off with us. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. Our poll question's pretty simple. We realize, with the Masters having come and gone, and then now a little moment here, 2.5 weeks away from the NFL draft, and we ask you, all right, so what are you going to be watching the most of here in the next month? Because we're 5 weeks away from the PGA. So in the next month, what will you be watching the most of? NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, or NASCAR were the 4 choices we put up there. Don't text us and tweet us and say, oh, you should have put. Well, we didn't. Don't know what to tell you. So
They still will, David, and that's okay. They can put whatever they want, but those are the choices we gave. And someone with a long barrage of text, Felipe, on your team started with just a picture of that pineapple soda that you love so much.
Hoopina?
Yes.
Love Hoopina.
And then says NBA. And he says, it's out here, Felipe. The Panthers and the Heat. Number 1 seeds. LFGGGGGG. I mean, they are all in.
wow.
Gives us his playoff breakdown of what the Eastern and Western Conference finals are going to look like.
Damn. Hockey too?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, all NBA. He's all in.
All right. Okay.
Heat,
Meanwhile,
Celtics, Suns, Grizzlies. He's going out on a huge limb.
so the top 2 seeds on both sides?
Yes.
Hey, man. Oladipo had 40 last night. He keeps playing like that. I don't know who can stop us.
Yeah, I know. It's against your Orlando Magic, by the way. We don't even know if they constitute a real NBA franchise anymore. Yinzer in our Twitch chat room says, I'll take the USFL over the NBA. It does debut Saturday.
All games in Birmingham, all season long. The home of the USFL.
The opener is simulcast. I think the last NFL game that was simulcast on 2 networks, not on a network and a cable channel, but the last time that a football game was simulcast on more than one network was Super Bowl I, which wasn't Super Bowl I at the time. It was the AFL NFL World Championship game.
This texter, big baseball fan, says the Orioles will go wire to wire in the East. In line.
Quick sidebar, 6 seconds or less. It's difficult to imagine when they're not going to be in 5th. I mean, Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays, Rays. When are they going to be better than one of those 4 teams? 3 of which spend money and the others maybe the best run franchise in pro sports. I mean, honestly, that's got to be the most sad fan base in the world right now. You can't even think of a day where there will be light at the end of the tunnel.
And Felipe, with all of that NBA love coming in that text, the poll question, the votes are out. It has been heavily voted on. Probably the most early votes of a poll question we've had in a while, David. A lot of response. NBA tied for last. 15% of the vote. MLB with a slight lead over the NHL. And the NBA and NASCAR in a dead heat.
So people want to complain about the NBA regular season and how meaningless it is, yet people want to watch baseball regular season this early?
Well, it's very early. There's the excitement of,
We're back,
Well, but 29 of the 30 fan bases still have hope. I mean, even the Nats fan base is holding on to a sliver of hope because it was only 3 years ago they won the World Series. And they had a great decade. The 2010s, the Nats contended damn near every year. So the Nats fan even thinks, hey, we'll get this straightened out.
Well, baseball's also a sport where there's a different winner every year.
Well, and every day you can, tomorrow can bring you, hey, we get a good pitch game, couple key hits. Hey, I could see this team winning. So it's early. Don't worry. By the end of May, oh, no, half the fans will be done.
Because half the teams will be
right.
done. But vote on the poll question, FL Sports Network, that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, or you can go to floridasportsnetwork.com to vote on today's poll question. We just talked with Ron Sirak, kind of wrapping up Masters Week. Scotty Scheffler, obviously the winner. That's now 4 of 6 tournaments for him.
I will say, though, the question he asked us at the end, I would be curious that everyone who, and you don't have to be a hardcore golf fan to answer this question. When you watched Rory's performance yesterday, did you think it was a backdoor thing, or did you go, wow, damn, he went out there and, he pressed the issue, and I just thought it was a backdoor thing.
I thought it was a backdoor thing, and he got a little bit of a bad break because that ball did skip on him on 15, but, you're right there and you let 15 get by you.
Well, but also you're hitting, no offense, you're hitting wedge in. I mean, you hit your drive. You're the best driver on tour. And your last 3 drives, you missed 3 fairways. There's some of the biggest fairways in golf. I mean, they're not St. Andrews fairways, but those are big fairways. And you missed 3 fairways. Last 3 drives.
So all of a sudden it was in your head of how important the round was becoming.
Yeah. Oh, well, I
got a shot at this.
Yeah, I need, if I birdied 2 of the last 4 holes,
I can get this to 9.
Right. Yank. I got 15 feet for birdie at 16. Miss. Not close either.
No.
Had to make a tough putt coming
back.
back.
I mean, he ran that 4 foot past the hole.
And missed it by
8 inches.
High side. Yeah. So, no, I mean, you can have a backdoor top 3. And he did. And it turns out he had a backdoor second.
And I thought Ron's comment coming back was, look at DJ. We all know why he missed 6 months. He was suspended. But during that time, he came back a different wedge player.
Right.
Because he was a poor wedge player and a poor putter, and he worked on it. I thought Ron made an excellent point that he talked about Annika. And after every year, she would assess what her problems were. Rory, we all know Rory doesn't need to go look at stats to figure out what his problems are. It's putting and wedge play. We all know what Rory's problems are. He's aware, and he's not addressing them, and that's disappointing.
And even though it's strange to finish second in a major and say you didn't contend, but, I mean, if you look at, Cam Smith finished T3. Rory finished second, beat him by 2. Who was in contention and who wasn't? So it can happen in a strange way. That's why you backdoor a finish. It's not only that Rory's gone 8 years without winning a major. In the 30 or so majors during that time, how many times has Rory really contended on the back 9?
Versus how many times he's damn near played himself out of the tournament on Thursday.
So, and we're tough on Rory because with his talent, he should not be stuck on 4 majors.
No. The text line, if you want to text into the show, it's very simple. You text the keyword FSN radio. You have to do that once to 21,000. 21,000 is the number. Once you do that, you can text as long as you want.
I will defend Rory at one thing, though. He's getting a lot of grief for how he celebrated holding the bunker shot on 18. And I saw it as, first off, he wanted to throw his club, but you don't want to go crazy. It's the Masters after all. You can't treat this like the Muni. You just let it fly. You can't have it all of a sudden take a chunk out of the green. They won't invite you back. You haven't won this thing. But then I thought he did the imaginary. I saw that as an imaginary double high five. Like he was, and there was no one there to do it with, but he was so happy that he just, high-fived air.
We're really getting upset about his celebration after he made a shot.
Mark, it's 2022. People mock everyone for everything. I'm just saying he, catch a little grief about, how he celebrated. And I thought there was no one near him. It was a deep bunker. It takes a little while to get out of.
Would everybody have been more happy if he'd have done a sand angel?
Which, especially there, oh my goodness, would have been epic.
Just laid back.
Epic. Yep, just created his little beach sand angel. Morikawa on the other side of the bunker looking at him. Then he hauls it out. I will say that was kind of neat.
It was.
The odds of that.
And CBS didn't give us any of that live.
No. I got to admit, their pictures and their sound quality, the best it's ever been. They have a new producer in the last 2-3 years, and they have really elevated their video and their audio. Shai Sellers is the producer, and he has taken their behind-the-scenes golf to a whole new level.
You're right on the audio. The fact that they're getting in with the microphones and giving us the conversation between caddy and competitor is for those of us that are really into golf. That's juicy stuff, man.
Right. I mean,
if you're really into the sport and you're listening to a caddy and a player. I mean, Cam Smith on 13 there as he ended up hitting that terrible 7-wood, but he's walking through. It's 218 to the front, 240 to the hole. Yeah, you can hit that. I mean, they're going through the shot. And for those of us that even if you don't play, but I think for anybody that plays, that you're eating that stuff up.
It's 7 years behind Fox, but yes. I mean, they've got their audio, and now they don't take a backseat to anybody visually and audio wise. They're where other networks were. And it was crystal clear. It was terrific. But yeah, they had some moments yesterday. They showed more stuff on tape than I can ever recall them showing us on tape.
And we all heard the roar, and I think everybody knew it was Rory's chip in. I was a little surprised that Nick told us.
Yeah, couldn't keep it to himself. It was remarkable, but couldn't keep it to himself. But
I've got goosebumps.
Right.
Really?
And I got to say, Scheffler, that 9-iron he hit in the 15 there.
I've never seen anybody hood a 9-iron quite like that.
From like 224.
No wonder he couldn't get it to stop when it hit the green.
Don't know why he didn't have more spin on it. Miller and Moulton. AJ Hawk will join us coming up in 25 minutes' time. The sad story of the tragic accident that took the life of Dwayne Haskins. AJ close to the Ohio State program. Haskins had that epic season just 4 years ago. He will join us on the show coming up in about 25 minutes' time. Don't forget our poll question, that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FL Sports Network, all on Twitter, or floridasportsnetwork.com. Which sport will you be watching the most over the course of the next month? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
was him, I would want the word to get out that he actually dipped into his own pocket and did it.
What in the hell is this tweet?
Yeah. Just apparently that's
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
like the Oxford High School in the I mean, you're trying.
Well, he's trying to get the word out to 18-year-old kids, though, saying this is what the
I
women look like
understand.
here.
It's just.
Yep.
There's a great scene in the new episode of Winning Time where Magic is getting approached by all these companies to sign with him, and Phil Knight walks up to him and like pretty much gives his pitch. And he's like, "I'll give you 100,000 shares, and that's 15 cents a share. But the sky's the limit, Magic." And they pop up a graphic saying 1979, 15 cents a share. Now it's $175. If he would have signed, he would have made $5.2 billion. And then there's the guy, the actor that plays Phil Knight,
I'm surprised,
breaks the fourth wall and says he regrets it.
Chambers didn't work harder to get the mustache here.
Apparently it's not going well, by the way, on the trail.
Really? Huh. By the way, my buddy's older brother is a huge, and I mean huge F1 fan. Like, he's into it. You start talking,
My
he
brother-in-law.
starts talking to me about carbon brakes, and I'm like looking at him going, "Gee, you know I don't care." But he just has explanation on why the sport's so great and da 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 da. I'm like, "Hey, you're like," I go, "I'm shocked. You're going back up." He's going back May 3rd.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Yeah. Who do you think made that decision?" I mean, this is a guy who could very well be worth 9 figures. And he's like, "Yeah, we're going to be in Connecticut because at our country club, there's a big deal for Mother's Day. And all 3 of my daughters can all be at our house for Mother's Day."
Yep.
So it sucks, but I'll be in Connecticut.
Yeah. Yes, you will. Yes, you will. And don't you forget it.
He did make a great point, though, because I was 12 years old watching the Monaco Grand Prix, poolside from the Lowe's Monte Carlo. He goes, where from this end, through the glass, I can look down at the most famous turn in F1 racing. And over this shoulder, I could see the hangers-on all topless. He goes, for a 12-year-old kid, pretty impressionable right there. JetBlue is cutting it, Summers. What is going on with airlines? There are no flights, and they just keep canceling flights. And
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. AJ Hawk to join us in a little more than 15 minutes' time. Did you see, and I know you're going to say no because, I wasn't watching it either, and I think that 315 people saw this live, either in person or on television, but did you see the George Brett pine tar incident in the UCF Memphis baseball game?
Well, UCF baseball is a passion of mine, David.
Like I said, I gave it a big qualifier. It was Masters weekend. It was UCF Memphis baseball. I don't think it gets a lot of attention, even when it's not Masters weekend. Was just wondering if by chance, in amongst your weekend surveying and travels,
What sport would you be watching the most of for the next month? NBA, NHL, NASCAR, or UCF, USF?
UCF.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
No, the answer is no.
All right. Fair enough. I knew I was walking into it, but I had to ask the question. Because they had a George Brett pine tar incident. College baseball has a serious issue going on now with bats.
Okay, just really quickly.
Yes.
I know a lot of our audience remembers the George Brett, but when I see Felipe immediately go to his phone when you mention something, Felipe doesn't even have a clue what you're talking about.
No.
George...
I'm looking up the incident because
it's nearly 40 years ago.
That's all.
I think it's 83.
No, I know the George Brett incident, but I'm
You
looking
do?
up the of course.
Okay.
He screamed and with death eyes wanted to rip the head off of the umpire.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
Felipe,
good.
I'm impressed with you right now.
It ended up costing him the game.
Actually, funny thing happened there. So, similar outcomes. Let me explain. So, in the George Brett pine tar game, Royals Yankees 83. Brett hits a homer top of the ninth with 2 outs in the top of the ninth. He hits a 3-run bomb against Gossage, and Royals take the lead. Billy Martin, manager of the Yankees, comes out. They appeal. There's too much pine tar on the bat. Sure enough, they look at it and they decide, you're right, he's out. Game over, Yankees win. And Brett loses his mind. Royals protest.
Right.
And upon appeal, the president of the American League agrees with the Royals. And the 3-run homer counts. And in August, I think it was, they have to come back to Yankee Stadium. I think that's when the Royals came back, and they had to finish this game. And by then, some of the guys had been traded at the trade deadline and weren't in the game. It was actually quite funny. Billy Martin thought he was going to get one over on the Royals, and he comes out and he protests, and he says that Brett didn't touch either first or second base. That the first thing the Yankees did when they stepped off, peel play, and the umpire calls them out. And Martin runs out to say, really, how do you know? The umpires anticipated it, had signed an affidavit, and literally they bring it out at the crew chief, brings it out of his pocket and shows Billy Martin. All right, trust me, we were waiting for this. So that's the George Brett pine tar game. UCF up 2-0. Guy hits a 3-run homer. The issue with bats in college baseball is apparently the bats have to be approved before the game.
And we were talking about this last week, you and I during the break. They put a sticker.
They do. They put a sticker because there was an incident in a game between, I think it was Tennessee and Vandy a week ago, in which, because in college baseball, they play midweek games on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then they play the weekend games. And the weekend games are the big one. They're conference games. Everybody throws the 3 best pitchers. The unwritten rule is you don't throw your best pitchers in the Tuesday, Wednesday games. You throw the end of the rotation, middle reliever guys.
Because what sport would survive without unwritten rules?
And so apparently this guy's bat in Tennessee, Vandy, had a sticker on it from one of the midweek games, but did not have a sticker on it for the Friday night game. He hits a homer. They come out, take a look at the bat. The sticker's not right. so they take the homer away. UCF Memphis. No problem with the stickers.
Right.
Bat's
Bat
got
had
a sticker. The Memphis head coach comes out and says, too much pine tar. And they did the exact same thing they did in the Brett thing. They just took the bat and laid it across the plate. And the pine tar can't be more than 17 or 18 inches, which is basically the width of home plate. And so, and you could see, I mean, it did have pine tar going up to the very bottom of the barrel. But it's an aluminum bat. And if you hit one over the fence, you're not hitting it where the pine tar is. But they call the guy out. And the UCF head coach comes out, and not George Brett out of body experience, but
livid.
Oh, yeah. And then he's furious at the Memphis head coach. He thinks it's Bush that you would even, do this. This is ridiculous. So he's yelling at the Memphis dugout. Guys coming out of the dugout. All right. Then he said something. The Memphis pitcher gets all honked off. He gets tossed. The pitcher does.
For the pitcher gets tossed just for.
No, he ran over an umpire. I mean, physical contact with an umpire.
Yes. That'll do it.
Right. And so he's out. UCF head coach is out, which makes him argue even more. So then it's dying down. And the umpires who had conferred to take the home run away, all of a sudden on their own are talking amongst themselves again. And upon further review, by themselves, decide, you know what? The home run counts.
They overturned their own appeal.
They overturned their own decision. And the home run counts. The pitcher's still out of the game. The head coach is still out of the game. So now the Memphis guy is running out. I encourage everyone to find it on YouTube or wherever and just listen to whoever is doing the play-by-play. Because after they decide to count the home run, I think it was Memphis was at home, so I'm assuming it's a Memphis announcer, and he is just yelling, "What the heck is going on here? What the heck is going on here?"
I love it.
So the closest thing that we have to a George Brett pine tar incident, UCF Memphis, Mark.
And I just love the whole idea that the pine tar too far on the aluminum bat.
Right. The aluminum bat. Correct. And those things have like the rubber handles on them too, right?
Yes.
Right. Uh-huh. But the four of them confer, or three of them, I think, in college baseball, they only have three. The three of them confer, and they say he's out. 5 minutes of screaming, yelling, and arguing. And for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe the UCF head coach on his way off the field got him to talk about it again. Whatever. They get together again, and then they decide home run.
Good story.
Yeah, it just, just something to look for.
If I'd have known that before the show, I might have put that on the poll question and put it ahead of NBA because it's getting 0 votes on this thing.
Felipe's so happy over there. He's in his own room. He can find it. He can turn the volume up. He can listen to the announcer. Don't bring him down, all right?
I understand. But which sport will you be watching the most of for the next month? Right now, MLB, David. And it's early. The baseball crowd's up. They're active.
Right.
Getting 37% of the vote. Hockey's getting 1 in 3 votes. NASCAR's getting 1 in 6. And the NBA at 12%.
Ooh, wow. Maybe folks just don't know how scintillating the playoff matchups are. And I'm not being sarcastic. I mean, the play-ins are interesting. The first round series are pretty entertaining, to be brutally honest. I mean, when it's Brooklyn and Boston in a first round best of 7, I'm watching.
Absolutely. And the fact is we could get some upsets in the first round. With Steph banged up, you don't know how. We actually have more unknowns going into the first round that I think we maybe have ever had since they've gone to a best of 7 format. Miller and Moulton. AJ Hawk coming up on the other side. We thank you so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network. Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program
The Training Grove, with a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
By the way, did you see they moved Monday Night Football back to ABC? And they're moving Dancing with the Stars to Disney Plus. I don't know if that's big news
So
in
does
your
that
household or
mean-
not.
Is that no? Because the show kind of.
Well, Tyra is apparently not very good. That's what I've been told.
I think the thing I love the best about the George Brett clip is that they literally chase down the person walking down the tunnel with the bat.
You know,
Like,
Uh-huh.
chase him down.
and then he's got to touch the woman sitting next to him. Can't do it. Some dude, some Bonita Springs guy was masturbating.
Oh, jeez.
On a JetBlue plane, he had a 21-year-old woman next to him.
Oh, come on. Oh, man. Felipe, that made the nightly news, the network news.
I mean,
39 years ago.
And the best part was that the first, because he didn't just throw to first and second. Billy threw to every base.
Right.
Billy appealed every base.
Right.
They started that inning, and the first thing he did, because now there's 2 outs. You got to start the game again.
Yeah, at the point, and now
because
the Royals have
ruled
the
him out.
lead.
So now it's
5-3 Royals or something, whatever
with
it
2
was.
outs in the top of the 9th.
Right.
So you got to get that last out. So the first thing Martin does is appeal to every bag.
Right. And then the crew chief shows them a piece of paper. We've already vouched that he touched all the bases. Nice try.
Yeah, because that's right. Because then he came out screaming again.
Yep. Nell Klecko was a ton of pine tar on his bat. It was nuts.
Oh,
Brett's bat.
way too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Did you see what Gator Data Stereotype did there?
And also, you could not have gotten a better shot on the reaction.
Oh no, coming right at the
Perfect.
camera.
Perfect.
Yes, it was
money. Visibly see the.
And the funny thing is that home
Big
plate
dig in.
umpire. Yep,
Yeah.
that home plate umpire was very well respected too. I forget his name right now, but he was actually thought of pretty well.
And he was so calm for the whole thing.
Well, and then I love the other umpires, protecting Brett like
Holding him
bouncers
back.
at a bar.
Yeah.
Or protecting the umpire like bouncers at a bar.
And he stays pressed on him for a little bit. Yeah.
I text AJ. He's up and ready for us.
'Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. He won a national championship at Ohio State. He won a Super Bowl title with the Packers. He is part of the Pat McAfee Show daily. He is AJ Hawk. You can follow him on Twitter at official AJ Hawk. AJ, it's David and Mark. Thanks for making time for us. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
Well, we are okay. We'd like to talk to you about a sad subject with the passing of Dwayne Haskins and the tragic accident. I saw the front page of the Dispatch yesterday and how literally that Dwayne Haskins was the entire front page. And so we wanted to get someone who is in and around Columbus to just talk to us about the impact that Dwayne Haskins has in Buckeye Nation.
Oh, I think he's always been looked at back here. Like, I live in Dublin, about 20 minutes from Ohio State's campus. So, I mean, I'm in the heart of everyone that's diehard Buckeye fans, and they've always loved Dwayne. But I think everyone was so shocked to hear the news of him being only 24 years old and everything that we know. And I don't know. I didn't know him personally. I met him a few times briefly, but only heard good things from people. And he always seemed to be smiling and be such like an upbeat guy. But I think people here are it's super sad. It really is. It feels like one, family member passed, because it comes out of nowhere like that and just hits you, and all of a sudden we learn of it and don't believe it's real, and then it becomes reality. It finally sets in a little bit. So I think people here are grieving for sure, and no one just. I think that kind of the shock and the surprise of it all is really what people are trying to get over right now.
And AJ, I think you said it very well there that when someone goes pro and plays for a couple of teams, we forget quickly just how adored he was in Columbus, and what he did for the Buckeyes can never be replaced.
Absolutely. I mean, when he played here, people do forget that pretty quick, like how he was just absolutely unstoppable. I mean, you looked, everything he was doing, how the ball was coming out of his hands, how efficient he was, how many touchdowns he was throwing. It was a special thing to see. And I think it's always like, okay, on to the next, how they're going to be next year and all that stuff, to where people do forget a little bit when people have special years like that. I think he absolutely did. and obviously hadn't figured it out that yet in the NFL, hadn't been the right situation yet, but I think he was definitely looking forward to his opportunity in Pittsburgh. And it adds another, sad thing to that whole story that he's down there working out with his teammates in the NFL. And then all of a sudden this happens. So yeah, just a tragic situation.
Well, and AJ, since you're still very close to that part of the country and that program, I mean, no one 4 years ago was second guessing Urban Meyer for choosing Dwayne Haskins over Joe Burrow. I mean, that's how good Dwayne Haskins was in 2018. Joe had already left and he went to LSU and he was doing okay. But I mean, there was no one saying, well, Urban chose, how could you choose Dwayne Haskins over Joe Burrow? I mean, that's how good he was.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. My kids were actually asking me about Dwayne, and they definitely know of him and remember him a little bit when he was at Ohio State. My older couple kids do. And they were asking me about other players like that they know. Does Zeke know him? Did Zeke play with him? Did all these naming all these guys? So yeah, guys, he played with Joe Burrow. Like Joe was here competing with Dwayne, and then Joe went to LSU, and they just couldn't. That blew their mind too to know that part of the story. But yeah, I remember being here, and I was doing some of my buddies' local radio shows during that time when they were having kind of that QB competition with Burrow and Haskins, and no one really knew what was going to happen. And then you go with Dwayne and you see what he can do, and then Joe becomes Joe at LSU. It seemed to kind of work out for everybody, really. And it was definitely a special time, I think, to be not only an alumni playing in Ohio State, but just to be here around town and to be a fan. It was a really fun time.
AJ, I want to just transition a little bit from that to Ohio State in general. What is the attitude there right now? Because I happen to be with old friends over the weekend, and they all graduated from that school a little north of you that you don't like all that much. And, they celebrated in ways that I've never seen Michigan celebrate before because, well, when you win once every 20, 30 years against a team, you take it a little bit differently. But for the first time, it's not the Buckeyes on top. Is there an edge? Is there an attitude in Columbus of the fan base that may reflect the team this year?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. My record against Michigan is 3-1, and it kills me that we lost one my sophomore year. They had a great team and they beat us good. But when you talk to kids, anyone that kind of came after me, I was done at Ohio State in 2006. It's a long time ago. They've had pretty much just rolling success. The guys after me, like if they don't have 4 or 5 wins over Michigan, they feel like they've been slighted with how they've been rolling lately over the last 15 years or so. So I guess it is kind of a shock to the system for Ohio State people to see and come to grips with what happened last year at the Big House. And I think they understand it and they give Michigan the credit that they deserve. Ohio State came in and they got dominated physically by Michigan. But I think that kind of, and what they did in the Rose Bowl and what CJ Stroud was able to do and how good they looked, I think helps going into the offseason. But you can take that momentum of, we won our bowl game and feel good about that. But also they have a terrible taste in their mouth from what happened, and they know that Michigan's coming here next year. So I think there's absolutely going to be an edge to the team and to the fan base.
Hey, Jay, I understand quarterback and linebacker are very different, but you were very successful on Saturdays and very successful on Sundays. What is significantly different about Sundays that you had no idea when you were playing Saturdays?
Man, that's a good question. People always will tell you the speed. Of course, you get to the NFL and everybody can run. You get D linemen running low 4.6s past people and stuff like that. That's definitely part of it. But I think just the fact that once you get to the NFL, like that's your life, that's your job. And I never looked at it as a job. I always loved football. That's why I played. But it's kind of all that everybody is doing. So not only the coaches and the other teams, they're spending 20 hours a day in there grinding over everything, trying to come up with little pointers they can give their players. And players, you're spending all your days and nights there at the facility too, and trying to figure out, like, hey, what can I do to gain a tiny little edge through studying film and my workouts and all of that. And you don't have, there's not all the other distractions and other things that you have to do. Like, this is my life and I want to hold on to it. I want to win games. I want to do it as long as I can. So I think when you have the whole league and everybody's doing that, like, hey, I could be out of here tomorrow. Like there's no guarantees. And I think everyone kind of being on the edge like that, it kind of steps everything up too, where it just feels bigger and everyone is going to be ready. And the margin for error, I think, is so slim when you get to the NFL.
AJ, did you figure that out early, or was there a player, a coach, a mentor in the league that maybe even helped you? Because obviously the quality of play you had speaks for itself, but sometimes there's somebody else that maybe, whether a training camp or an early part of your career, was there a mentor or someone that maybe helped expose you to the other side of the NFL, the film room, and in things that maybe you didn't have a grasp of before you got there?
Yeah, I was super lucky that I stepped into a Green Bay team. When I got there, my first 2 years, Brett Favre was the starter, and Aaron Rodgers was already there. Aaron stepped in during my third year in Green Bay. Just honestly watching guys like that is what helped me the most, I think. And I was just peppering them with questions. I would ask Brett questions. I sat next to Aaron in our team meeting for 9 straight years. So I would ask him questions on what he's doing, how he looks at defense and everything. I didn't have like one big wake up call or one big moment, but I think coming from Ohio State, I realized early on in my first training camp that, I was well equipped in college, that Coach Tressel, who I played for, and everyone in the support staff, they really do their best to obviously try to win a national championship every year, but really does prepare you for the NFL. And they bring back different guys that would work out, that would come back, and we'd have pros that would always be coming back and working out with us in the winter and the spring and stuff. And they were always super open with us and let us know what was going on. They were always current NFL guys, and they would kind of tell us what it's like. And then when your teammates, when freshman, sophomore, junior year, you're playing with guys, and then all of a sudden they get drafted, and you're fans for them, and you just can't believe you're watching them playing an NFL team. You'd always bug them too and ask them what's going on and how it is. So I think when I came in, I had a little bit of a understanding of like what the stage was like, how big it felt. But I had so many teammates and coaches, it's hard to narrow it down. But that really, I just tried to watch and learn. Hey, okay, that guy's a 8-10 year vet, been doing it for a long time. What's he doing? Like, what? There's a reason he's here. And I would watch those guys and kind of study them.
Do you remember what it was that made you and Aaron buddy up so quickly? Because obviously you come from different places. I don't know either one of you, but you seem to be different guys. All right. What was it that first attracted both of you to, pal around together right away?
That's a good question. Very similar in age. I'm only about a month younger than him, but he came out a year early and was in the draft class before mine. But it was one of those things where, if you ever go into like a classroom or something the first day and everyone's trying to figure out where your seats are, but a lot of the people have already been there for years. So you walk in our first team meeting, there's not assigned seats, and his seat was, he sat in the back, and the seat next to him was open. And I talked to him a little bit before that, but just because his locker was 2 down from mine. And then so he's like, yeah, this is open. So I was just happy to have a seat that was open. I didn't know where I was supposed to sit. And then getting to talk to him, I realized, okay, this is a unique dude. Like, he was always had his laptop open, taking notes on what the coaches were saying in our team meetings. And he'd have like all of his game plans up on the screen. And he was backing Favre up. Favre was sitting right behind us. And I got to listen to those two guys talk about football and what they were like, how they would attack defenses. That helped me out a ton, honestly. It was fun. But I think with Aaron, he's definitely different. Like everyone, I think all the different people I hang out with them, they're all different kind of personalities. But for whatever reason, I don't know, I've always respected how he goes about his business, how hard he works, and obviously how great he was. Like competing with him and just in practice was fun. And we always had friendly banter going back and forth during practices and everything. But I was always glad he was on my team. And I think it's fun to watch him still go out there and win 2 MVPs in a row at 38 years old, 37 years old.
It's interesting. You talk about his work ethic. We always hear about Aaron from the neck up. And I think sometimes that talent obviously being there, but it doesn't predicate how much hard work has to go in and what you're talking about. I don't think everybody knows that side of Aaron Rodgers. Do you?
No, I don't. I think you're right. They don't. So much goes into it just to be able to play how he does too. Like Aaron is super athletic, and that's something I don't know if people give enough credit for or not. I think people know how dangerous he is when he does decide to run. But he's one of those guys that can play any sport and he's going to be good at it, no matter what you're doing. Like we used to have dodgeball games, like at the end of the summer. Every once in a while, these team dodgeball games, and his team was always in the finals, and he's usually winning the thing because whatever we're doing, he's very athletic. But I think, and especially as he's gotten older, I think he's always like trying to figure out what he can do to keep his body feeling as good as he possibly can. I think there's a reason he's been doing it at such a high level for so long. I mean, I don't know when he's going to stop, but it seems like the dude can just play forever.
AJ Hawk, national champion in college, Super Bowl champion in the pros, part of the Pat McAfee Show daily. You can follow him on Twitter at official AJ Hawk, official AJ Hawk. AJ, we appreciate you making time for us. All the best to you and the family. Hopefully we can do this again.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
AJ Hawk, kind enough to join us at first, starting out talking about the tragic accident that took the life of Dwayne Haskins 3 weeks before his 25th birthday, and then venturing into a couple of other things.
Think Roger's the headhunter in dodgeball?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Headhunter and probably might throw a few at the ankles to try to knock a guy right off of his feet. I think he'd be borderline a dirty dodgeball player.
I also think that if you're out there, he's looking at someone else and he ends up coming your way.
You can duck a wrench, you can duck a ball.
Ran into him at the Oakmont U.S. Open in 2016. He showed up in the Fox tent. He was nearing the end of his NFL career. We were pumping him for information. You going to try to play one more? He goes, yeah, one more. Going to try. As he was walking around the grounds, having some beers, shooting the you-know-what. So nice of AJ Hawk to join us here on Miller and Moulton. Mark, if you miss any segment, any one of our guests, you can go to floridasportsnetwork.com, millerandmoulton.com, and it's all right there.
It's all right there. The downloads, the podcast, however you need to access the show, millerandmoulton.com, floridasportsnetwork.com, the easiest way to pick up anything you missed, like our interview with AJ Hawk. All things posted, about 20 minutes after we finish the show. We thank you for listening. Lake City, Tampa, Port Charlotte. The bonus hour in Southwest Florida is on the other side, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
And Napa filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf. where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Okay. This is a scam that we're even on the air.
So I think taping that,
Right.
like spending an hour Wednesday of taping that open,
Right.
the close of the show.
Plus, we could, and if we had to, just touch in, like you got NBA playoffs to start over the weekend.
I had to laugh. Jake calls me. I didn't see it because I was having breakfast. I was doing something Saturday morning, but I get a call. I look at my phone. I see I missed a call. Look at the. Because they got the phone banks there. He goes, don't know if you're watching, but Adam Scott was basically right next to me for his third shot on one. It wasn't even on TV yet, but.
See, Mello, I think it's okay to wear Master stuff year round. So with the new security system, it's detecting a lot of motion. Well, because it's been windy. So there's a lot of motion in and around. I got a fairly big little palm tree right in front of the house, and winds and shadows and what have you. So so I'm getting a bunch of updates going, we detect motion. And then in the back, the neighbor hasn't trimmed his trees and they're falling over in our yard and they're blowing all over the place. Yeah.
By the way, Logic Man, I am with you. Debbie, that is honestly, and can you find something else? I mean, can you find something more trivial to bitch about? I think that's worse than me bitching about people wearing jerseys after the age of 25. Hell, that's the whole reason that Masters gift shop's there, so people can load up and buy stuff for people that couldn't go. I had my kid get me a visor while he was there. Now I've been. Right, I've got Derby glasses from a lot of Derbies. I've never been to the Derby. I've got all kinds of Derby memorabilia.
It's another reason we have to get a hold of our fearless leader. Apparently, there's still a chance we're going to the Derby.
Well, he sent me a thing back. I'm not going to sign the contract till I send a sponsor for the golf tournament. It's like, well, then we're going to lose the golf course. I don't know what to tell you. If you want the golf course on June 14th, you need to sign the contract. Or we don't have a golf tournament. You tell me which, but we can't play that game.
The bowling ball gave you an NFL alumni polo? Don Nottingham? That's outstanding.
I mean, by that theory, I shouldn't be able to wear Moulton CBS Sports stuff or Moulton's Fox Sports stuff. Well, the Fox USGA shirt's a collector's item.
Damn right it is.
Come back.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? The bonus hour of Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. Hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for starting your week off with us. World number one wins the Masters. Never trailed, right, over the weekend? I mean, once he took the lead on Friday, pulled away on the back nine, caught just, hey, you need breaks to win. We've talked about that all the time, and not just the chip in on 3 on Sunday, in which I don't know if you heard when you watched. I don't know if you watched with the volume up or not, but when Scheffler eventually gets around to, I thought it was when he got to 16, but it might have been when he just got to 6, because Vern's got 6 and 16. And I think it was 6, now that I think of it, that Vern referenced his exquisite and lucky chip on 3. And I think when a chip like that goes in, it is luck.
Yeah, to a point. I
Yeah.
mean, yes.
I mean, a lot of skill, but that thing was moving. If that doesn't hit the flag,
I think it's 8 feet past the hole all day long. Maybe more.
Yes. And with a very slick downhill putt, in which a 2-putt would be nice. Yeah. And the fact that, I mean, those things can hit flagpoles and go in any sort of direction. So now it's Vern. Nobody took a shot at him that I saw, but you usually don't hear commentators, use the word luck or lucky.
But exquisite and lucky.
Right.
I mean, hey, it was really, really good.
Right.
But he caught a break.
Yeah, no question. But I also thought he caught a break on Friday, because it was windy for the first 3 days. On Friday, it was really windy till about 5 o'clock.
And you and I talked about that Friday morning. What happens a lot? We're just something we're used to in these parts.
In which
Late
right
afternoon,
around dinner time,
that wind lays down.
And it did. And Scheffler tore up the back nine when the wind laid down. And that's when he separated. I mean, that's when he had the 5-shot lead. Everybody else was in the 2-3 under range, and all of a sudden there's Scotty posting 8. And from that moment on, now, I mean, there were others who played in those conditions and didn't tear it up, but he caught just a little break, but he was good enough to take advantage of it. And yes, now, Mark, it is okay. I was all over them making Scotty Scheffler the number 1 player in the world without winning a major.
And you were not all over Scotty Scheffler.
No,
I want, because no, but I mean, when you hear that, someone, well, why would he? No, he's just over the system.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. I don't know how you can accumulate enough points to become the number 1 player in the world when you don't win a major, particularly when the guy that you bumped from 1 to 2 within the last 12 months has won a major. I mean, I redo the point system is what I would say. I mean, no offense. I mean, Phoenix in mid-February should not count enough for you to jump John Rahm in my estimation. But now, yeah, 4 wins in the last 2 months, his last 6 events, a major. Okay, sure. What the heck? Why not?
And I do know they put the World Golf points higher than a regular tour event.
It's unbelievable, right?
Really doesn't make any sense because it's a smaller field in which you're winning in.
Right. But he won the match play, and that's a WGC.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, anyway.
And there's a little stat that came out, like someone who's won 4 tournaments, one being a WGC event and a major, who's done it. And it's like Tiger 8 times, and now Scheffler.
What is interesting about him, and who knows, this could just be his hot 3-4 month stretch. This could be his Johnny Miller type year, and he's just another guy over the next 10 years. I mean, who knows? It's golf. Funny things happen. I mean, Ricky Fowler damn near has to Monday qualify. I mean, that's how quickly things can turn. And it was 4 years ago he was finishing second in this tournament. But Scheffler dominated as a junior golfer. Dominated. And it took him a little while to get his feet wet. But Faldo was talking about it. So was Ian Baker and Nobilo, in which they said, listen, when you're a winner, it really, you can be a winner at 12 and a winner at 17 and a winner at 25. And when I was listening to them comment about Scheffler, it's one of the things, and this may be a weird analogy, Mark, but one of the mistakes, if we were to look back at if Michelle Wie had it to do over again, there were a lot of people that were saying when she was 12, 13, and 14, and she was this amazing talent, but she was always trying to play against men, or the highest level of women's golf. And they were like, go dominate your peers, learn how to win.
There are a lot of golf coaches, whether, college or whatever, will make players play the red tees to get them to shoot par. Well, that's too easy. Okay, go shoot 72 from there. When you do it, I'll move you back one. There is an art to learning how to go low and learning how to win. There is no doubt. And you're right, David. If you can do it at 12, you can do it at 22. And Scheffler certainly got it done yesterday.
And he's 25. Decent looking guy, seems nice. I will say, man, you could tell he lives in the part of the country, doesn't get cold very often. He had a lot of trouble with that vest. I mean, Mark, you knew he was going to have trouble putting on the green jacket. I mean, he couldn't handle his damn vest on Saturday. I mean, he was wrestling with that thing. I forget which green it was in which there was not a very long walk from the green to the tee, and he opts, the caddy hands him the vest, and I'm literally going, well, don't even bother to put it on. You're going to be taking it off in 8 seconds. And he's, while walking, wrestling, putting this damn thing on, and for whatever reason, Mark, he can't go to his left.
No.
It was always the left arm, left shoulder.
Even with the green jacket last night, you saw it.
Just he struggles.
Bad exchange.
Yes, struggles with the left side, Mark, when it comes to jackets and vests. And here he was. He damn near got that vest on when he got to the tee on Saturday, and then he takes it off. I was just little things. I was just laughing.
Well, I just thought it was routine. I'm putting it on between every shot, and damn it, I don't care if it's only 14 seconds before I swing again. I'm going to get this on and get it off, because that's what I've been doing for 3.5 hours, and it's working right now, David.
I'm not even thinking at this point. I'm a robot at this point. It just keep doing the same old thing.
Well, and I thought he said so after when he talked about, did you hear the roars? Not really. I knew that I had the lead I had, it was about me. It was about me doing what I needed to do to finish this. And I saw that Rory was there once, but then I made, proceeded to make that next birdie on 14 when he stuffed one to
damn near kick in.
Right.
A little more than kick in, but yeah. I will say, for those that have been to Augusta, when you're on 13, and when you're on the green in particular, and you're shielded even by trees there, I mean, to have the roar from 18 make it all the way to 13 green, that's something. And Dottie did say, we could hear it here. We knew something happened, and we figured it had to be Rory, because, the reaction would not be that big unless it was someone in contention. And since it was a long ways away, we're kind of all doing the math as to, who would be on that particular hole. So
as long as she didn't say Rory hit a 9-iron, we're okay.
Just woof. And it's a simple system. If you want to know how it is that the on-course reporters always know what the clubs is, they get them from the caddies. The caddies agree to play along, and it's either fingers up or fingers down. And back in the day, it used to be from a 5-iron. All right. And then sometimes it get moved to 6 or 7. And then, if the 3 fingers up, you would add 3, 3 fingers down, you would subtract 3, that sort of deal. And so that's why it's real easy to know And when you're a field producer, then because a lot of times the field producer's right next to the caddy, the on-course reporter may not be right there to see it because they may be over at the other player in the group or down the fairway a little bit. And so you're relaying the information. It's a signal system that's worked out between the networks and the caddies. And obviously, whether
They got their signals crossed,
did.
and it was low and outside for ball 3.
Yeah,
David.
exactly. And the pitch ended up and in, and
Yes.
oh boy.
Yes.
So
Our poll question today is fun, at least for me. What sport will you be watching the most of for the next month? Given to us by one of our listeners in the Twitch chat room.
Yeah.
We encourage to do as little work as possible. That anytime you want to give us ideas for poll questions, we will take them under advisement and sometimes use them like today. And right now, Major League Baseball getting nearly 40% of the vote.
wow. So right now, our audience is saying that between baseball, NHL, NBA, and NASCAR, that they are more likely to watch baseball than any other sport.
Hockey is next, getting 30% of the vote. NASCAR getting a little over 17% of the vote. And right now, 13% of the vote going to the association.
I wonder if that will change once fans realize what the matchups are.
I think it'll change once I think everybody looks at this and hockey fan assumes, well, the playoffs are starting for the NBA and the NHL, but they're not. But because of the Olympic year, even though they ended up not playing, we're still 3 more weeks of NHL regular season. And as David pointed out earlier in the show, as much as I love the NHL, and I voted NHL because I still think I'll watch the most of that, baseball will be a close second. But the playoff seedings or the playoff teams are damn near all determined. In the East, they are. In the West, there's 4 teams fighting for the last 2 spots, basically?
Yeah.
But the NBA playoffs will have the play-in this week, and by the weekend, the playoffs will be rolling.
I think the Heat host game 1 on Sunday.
I'll probably be there.
Really?
Yes.
You can get
On Easter Sunday,
Yes.
really
in your very Catholic family,
Yes.
when you go home to see your mom for Easter, you
When-
think you're going to be able to go to a Heat game.
In Miami, when the Heat go on finals runs, Santeria happens. People light those Jesus candles. And put their jerseys.
I got that,
Oh,
but
it's a
you
ritual.
live away from your mom. You live here. You don't see your mother all that often. You're going to go home for Easter weekend, and you're going to say,
Right.
Mom, I'm taking off to go to the Heat game, because it'll be in the afternoon.
You go to mass and you send a prayer for Jimmy Butler. And then boom.
And I understand that in late May and into June. We're trying to make the case this
It's
Sunday
Mother's
is
Day.
Easter
Oh,
Sunday.
I'm sorry, Easter Sunday, yeah.
And I'm guessing we're going to take the side of either dad or mom is going to go, no, we can watch the game at home.
No,
And you're going to have Easter dinner with the family.
my abuela likes Tyler Hero.
Miller and Moulton, whatever he said, the Florida Sports Network. Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles Or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Logic Man, it depends on what media outlet you read when. 2 days ago, it was unlikely Ben Simmons was going to play this year for the Nets. Yesterday, they think Simmons might be available sometime in the first round. I'm voting he doesn't play this year. Philly Klecko wants to know, did you just throw Jesus under the bus? That this could be worse than Eric Church.
Jesus will be totally fine with me being at that game. He'll be
Besides,
happy.
he's only busy on Friday.
It's a really good line.
No, I didn't mean you. I meant Jesus.
It's
Yeah, I
a
know.
really good line.
That's solid. So we go to church yesterday.
He's lost his sense of humor today. You're exhausted, aren't you? That's the problem. You're too tired. You need a
He
nap.
does this poll question's killing him.
He's got no energy. He got limited sleep.
You know, I cut off 30 minutes on my drive home from Tallahassee yesterday.
Did you go all highway?
All highway. On one tank of gas.
Well, sure. I mean, no offense. It's like 350 miles, right? 400 miles?
400.
Yeah.
But my car is amazing.
Oh, so you like from beginning, you loaded up in Tallahassee, made it all the way home.
Yep, one shot. My car can drive like 450 miles.
That's cool.
Yeah. Also, gas is cheaper in Tallahassee. Why?
Sorry. I'm just reading a headline that says new study suggests mushrooms may talk to each other with up to 50 words.
Mushrooms?
Thank you.
Maybe they're on shrooms.
That's kind of where my head was, and it's why the giggle popped out.
Yep.
That could be the ugly all by itself.
Or the good.
That's, you know what? That will be the good.
Ooh, Logic Man. That's interesting. Because they were a
I just
big
realized I didn't have a good.
choked. There was a Twitter reply that I found funny. It's like, good luck, Philly. The area that you're in, most of the people will watch Fox News and they tell them to not like the NBA. And I was like, yeah, pretty much. So I'm screwed. Yeah. Whatever.
But
Thanks,
also
Mello.
you grew up in the biggest part of the state where the NBA is most popular.
With the dynamic run.
Yeah.
A couple.
Again, I probably said this before, and I don't mean to sound like, oh, Miami's the greatest place in the world, but
It's not.
There's nothing in Florida like Miami.
No, there's
Not even close.
But Miami's by no means near the greatest place in the world.
I don't.
How many? Well,
It's
you've
not.
traveled a
It's
little
not.
bit.
It's not, but I
First
love
off,
it.
Spain. You've been to Spain.
I've been to Barcelona, which is Miami on steroids.
So you've already been to a better spot than Miami.
Spain is beautiful. And so is France. There's a city called San Sebastian that's on the border between Spain and France, and it's like a beach town. It's beautiful. I was 12, and I vividly remember that. The Magic were. I remember when the Magic were in the finals against the Lakers in 2009.
Have they signed a receiver yet?
No.
The Jameer Nelson, Rashard Lewis, Hito Turkoglu days.
Yeah.
The JJ Redick days.
Yeah. They went to the finals of one year, lost in the conference finals the next.
Yep. Unreal. I find it hilarious that Obi Toppin is popping off in the amount of time that he's been playing in replacement of Julius Randle. Bet you Randle's pissed off.
He's been angry all year.
Yeah, well,
Are we coming back?
he can eat a bag of.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Some final thoughts. All coming up in a little more than 15 minutes' time. NBA regular season is come and gone. Play-in games start tomorrow. I think they go 7 against 8 tomorrow.
Both games or one then the other?
They go the 7-8 games tomorrow. Cavs at Nets, Clippers at Timberwolves. TNT's got them both. Then I'm assuming Wednesday.
Right.
Yeah, the four-letter network's got them both. Charlotte at Atlanta, San Antonio at New Orleans. The winners on Saturday, the winners tomorrow on Tuesday. The winners are in as the 7 seeds. Top 6 seeds in each conference are in. They're locked and loaded. The winners tomorrow night are in as 7 seeds. The losers tomorrow night play the winners of Wednesday night on Friday. And the winners Friday night enter as 8 seeds. And I believe the NBA makes them then play on Sunday right away to try to give the 1 seed as much of an advantage as possible. So the Heat will find out Friday night who it is that they are hosting on Sunday afternoon in a game that Felipe is convinced he will be at on Easter Sunday in a very Catholic family.
I mean, I don't know why you're surprised by that. Is it because of the Catholicism?
It's your family. It's Easter. Yeah. I mean,
I could invite them to the game.
well, it might be the best way for you to get a ticket paid for.
True. There you go.
You could say, Mom, how about instead of you cooking an Easter dinner, how about as a family we go to the Heat game?
Well, actually,
And spend about $1,000. What do you say?
wait, no, I just remembered. They're going to be out of town. Oh, I'm going to the game. They have their own vacation planned. No, I'm going to this game. I don't
that's
care
all
now.
Empty nesters. They want nothing to do.
I don't care.
Do you blame them for not wanting anything to do
No,
with this kid?
they're like, man, he was a handful. We got the 2 of them out of the house. Let's go. Let's go.
Next time Dad's in town, I'm going to ask him who's Mom's favorite. On the air. We're going to make you leave the room, and we're going to have Dad let us know who the favorite is.
He's not going to answer. He's going to say both.
I think you're going to be disappointed.
No.
You might be his favorite.
I'm definitely the most annoying. I'll say that.
Well, we don't even know your other brother. We're willing to vote on that. I mean, come on now. First weekend of the baseball season is come and gone. The one team left, Mark, with a chance to go 162-0.
The Rays.
There you go.
Someone had to get it done. Teams couldn't get it done against the Pirates, couldn't get it done against the Guardians.
The Nats. Yep. But the Rays swept the Orioles 8-0 the final yesterday. They're 3-0. I'm curious how many people, if any, watched Yankees Red Sox last night. Or were you Masters out or what have you? But Sunday Night Baseball, new broadcast crew also. No Matt Viscursion, A-Rod. They're done. Viscursion's no longer doing ESPN games at all. A-Rod's taken off of Sunday Night Baseball.
But last night did the K-Rod broadcast, they called it?
Right. Michael Kay, longtime voice of the Yankees, and Alex Rodriguez. So it was K-Rod. And they tried to do their version of Manningcast. I think you're going to see this from ESPN in more sports.
Good.
What do you do if it's not well received coming out of the chute, which K-Rod was not well received last night?
Tweak it. I love that they got to give everything a name. The problem when you associate the people on the broadcast with the name is you're kind of stuck with those broadcasters.
Correct. I think it's the fundamental flaw with it is the fact that Alex Rodriguez is not popular. He's not well liked. He's well known, but he's not well liked.
He's also from the hood.
Well, that's a joke. A-Rod has tried to maybe play up where it is he grew up in Miami and what have you. So that's why the Felipe Miami joke
put
there.
that out there. Sorry.
But the bigger part is we talk about this all the time, likability. And there's not anything A-Rod can do that's really going to change that, I believe, unless out of this K-Rod cast, he starts opening up a piece of himself that we'd never seen.
Well, and he's friendly with Michael Kay. And so the thought is this is why ESPN put them together. They think Kay will get stuff out of him. I'll say this. A-Rod gave you a lot of information last night. Now, a lot of it had to do with him, but he's been a pretty big figure in baseball for 20 plus years. You know, he talked some early days in Seattle, but also he got into the trade. Remember, he was going to Boston. He was going to the Red Sox for Manny Ramirez and John Lester. And then the Red Sox, in turn, were going to get Maglio Ordonez and a starting pitcher from, I think it was the White Sox, and Nomar and someone else was going from the Red Sox to the White Sox. And he talked about it. You know, he was in Texas. He wanted out. The union, they wouldn't let me take the pay cut. I mean, got into all of it. And I will say, don't know if he rehearsed it or just had it. Michael Kay, they put the graphic on the screen, what nearly happened, and turned to him and said, you know, what are your thoughts when you see that? And he said, well, I would have been a much bigger fan of Sweet Caroline. I mean, it's a good line. It's a line. It is. But,
and we've watched a little forgiveness happen of people when they open themselves up, David. So I don't know if over the course of the year, you know, they had Big Papi on last night as a guest. I think the guest list will be a big factor as to how well these shows go and how well A-Rod interacts with the guest, if you know what I mean.
Well, and much like the Mannings, they're going to try to bring on people that he's friendly with. I mean, Clemens was on last night. They brought up his career and tried to get him to comment about the latter part of his career, and Clemens just looked right into the camera and said, I played the game the right way. Huh? Okay. All right. That's your story. You're sticking to it. We'll come to our own conclusions. He and Ortiz are buddies. They get along really well. They also work together with Fox. But, yeah, Big Papi came on the show last night.
And there are a lot of people that are huge baseball fans, particularly in the entertainment world. There are a lot of actors that love the sport. I would think that they could get some names on this. And that always bodes well when you get a comedian or two or a funny actor that can make it a little more about the fun of baseball. So, hey, look, I like the idea of it. The women's college basketball final was a huge hit.
With Bird and Taurasi there. This was apparently not that well received. It was seen as a little on the boring side. And I'm just wondering, I don't believe they're doing this every Sunday. So in that way, it's also like the Manning cast because they only did 7, both nominated for Emmys, by the way. Peyton and Eli, both nominated for Emmys, different categories.
Eli for the double bird. If one wins and the other doesn't, will one slap the other and then get banned from these for 10 years?
Well, but you know, we're only children. We don't quite understand, but Felipe, maybe with some insight, imagine you and your brother both nominated for Emmys, but only one of you wins.
There's going to be some salt in there.
I was going to say, Couple of awkward holidays.
You really want Eli to win
Totally.
because he'll give it to Peyton. Better than Peyton would give it to him if Peyton wins.
And I could see him doing the first Manning cast next year with his Emmy right there sitting next to him when he broadcasts. Also, I don't know if you saw, but Monday Night Football is moving back to ABC.
Well, they spent enough on the announce crew.
Right. It also means that Dancing with the Stars, which has been on ABC on Monday nights, is moving to Disney Plus. That's going to cause a lot more upheaval in the household than the Monday Night Football news. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You know what's great about being single during
Someone
playoff
apparently
time?
Texas. When you guys were at the Four Network, I called in and remarked that Rory was overrated and not really a great golfer. You guys were pretty tough on me, but I think it's playing out that way.
When did he call in?
When we were worked here,
Right. Well, you could say, well,
at that point, he had won 4 majors.
well,
probably.
and also that was 6 years ago. I mean, you want to answer him or me? And that was at least 6 years ago you called in. He was no more than 18 months removed of having won just 2 majors in 2014. So, yeah, at least 6 years ago it was. Now, no. Oh, the app, Klecko. Got it. Yeah, the Masters app's amazing. What were you about to say?
That this whole being single thing during the NBA playoffs, I can get on with that. Oh, man. Because I was thinking about Easter. I'm like, okay, I could see my grandparents in the morning, and I'm good.
That is true.
There you go. I don't have to worry about any other families' events. You know, as I attempt
So you have the money to just go buy Heat playoff tickets.
That's the thing. I don't do work in sports radio after all.
How much are the Heat playoff tickets?
I haven't even looked.
Here we go.
I'm gonna find any promo code I possibly can.
You think you can get in for less than $150?
Well, if
I think it'd be $150.
That's just to
to
get
sit
in.
bad seats.
Yeah.
How? I'm not being a jerk, Philly. It's been a long time since I've been to an NBA game, and even a longer time since I've been to an NBA game in bad seats. Like I was really little going to Piston games. How is
No, not bad. $80.
for nosebleeds?
Yeah.
What's a nosebleed like to watch a game?
It is row 16 though. It's like all the way back. It's gonna be like $100
Minimum.
minimum. Because even if it's
Why aren't you applying for credentials? I mean, I'm
you
not
think,
being.
you think in a week I can get
You
credentials?
should have been.
You should have been on that.
And this is why. And this is why I told you. This is where you need to be starting to get. You need to get business cards. You need to be emailing every PR person. I mean, this is part of the producer thing. You need to start getting on their radar.
Okay, where do I start? What link do I type on my device to start getting in?
MiamiHeat.com. Front office staff.
Yeah.
PR.
Public relations.
Public relations. Public and media relations.
Right.
Who is their
You-
media relations person?
Right. You email
And
the
you
director
email
of
that person.
media
You're a good
relations.
writer. I'm not even being smart there. I mean, you like to write.
Short, simple emails. by
No,
the way.
no more than 4 sentences.
right.
So I
Here's who I am.
shouldn't call. I should email.
No.
You
definitely
no.
not call. No. There's no way you get a call back. No chance in the world you'd get a call back from anyone in the room.
Mhm.
No.
Okay, then I'll email them about the second round.
No.
But
email them about the first round.
Email them about the first round. Email them and say where do I
I'm
need
a
to go to?
producer, with such and such a show. We're in, da 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 da. Okay. We would like to see, is it possible to get 2 credentials for the playoffs? Please let me know what I need to do. Okay. Blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Also while you're in it, we would love to have,
Yeah.
you just say, understand it's unlikely and busy and this, that, and the other thing, but maybe the broadcasters whom they employ,
Mhm.
so they can tell John Crotty, hey, you need
Who
to
do we
do an
used to get from the
838
Heat
with
all the
these
time?
guys. Well, we used to get the Mike Inglis, who's
Yeah,
no longer the play-by-play guy. We could get him though. I think he lives in Naples.
Also, we can discuss terms on a 10-day contract for me. Like to get a couple minutes a game.
See,
Right.
Felipe,
and 2-guard.
Felipe. These are when you got to pick your spots. We're really trying to help you out.
Right.
I'm
And
just
no,
messing with
we're
you.
not.
I'm
We're not
messing
just
with
trying to
you.
help you out. But I've told you this a week ago. You should be on this stuff.
Yes, I know.
And this is
I
stuff to
will.
make
I will
our
actually.
show better.
The first.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
$22 minutes until the top of the hour. Thanks for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, brought to you in part by Napa. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. In the 239, you got John, you got Lisa, you got Justin and Kyle. They are the family that makes up the Napa Dream Team with 6 locations in the 239 and 1 in the 941. So if you're stopping on by a Napa Auto Parts, tell them Miller Moulton sent you. We'd appreciate it. Without further ado,
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul, to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When...
Mark, there's old school, and then there's the 15th century. War of the Roses. Edward IV seizes London from Henry VI.
When Hank and Ed got after one another, it was ugly.
We are throwing down, baby. We are doing this. Little over 300 years later, the formal end to the Revolutionary War was April 11th, 1783. The formal end. Most of the serious fighting ended in late 1781, but sometimes, Mark, it takes a while to wrap these deals up.
Well, word doesn't travel nearly as fast then, David.
No. I mean, we have trouble sometimes texting back to those that text us, depending on whether or not they're a Verizon customer or not. You can only imagine how difficult it was when you were sending messages via ship, and it would take months for ship to get from point A to point B, never mind come back. Little over 200 years ago, Mark, Napoleon abdicates the throne. He's no longer the emperor of France because he was exiled to a Mediterranean island called Elba. E-L-B-A. Elba. 1898, Spain declares war against the U.S. A year to the day later, Spain concedes Puerto Rico to the United States. Took care of business, man.
We're 10-0-1, baby.
That's right. We've been kicking for over 200 years. We had about 30 plus years after the Civil War to get it all back together again. Where are we? Big day in 1921. The first sporting event broadcast on the radio was 101 years ago today. It was on KDKA in Pittsburgh, which is regarded as the first radio station in America, which I believe first broadcast in 1920. So a year later, they broadcast their first ever sporting event. Care to take a guess?
Pirates home opener?
Well, it's not the word. I mean, the Pirates were playing in 1921. It was a boxing match. Also, 101 years ago today, blame Iowa.
When don't we?
The first state to issue a cigarette tax was Iowa.
I'm down with user taxes.
Got a lot of Masters news, Mark, on this day. 1948, Claude Harmon wins the Masters by 5. On this day in 51, President Truman, I love how they worded it, relieves General MacArthur of his command in Korea. Were you fired or were you reassigned? How would you describe it?
Fired.
Yeah, I would say
As
fired.
someone who's not had his contract renewed, sounds like a firing to me, David.
So it was on this day in 51. On this day in 61, the Celtics won the NBA championship. Yes, that's right. April 11th, it was over. They beat the St. Louis Hawks in 5. 60 years ago today, the Mets made their debut. They lost. Been doing a lot of it since. On this day in 65, Jack wins his second Masters. He beats Gary and Arnie by 9. He shot 17 under, and that was the mark that stood until Tiger in 97 when he went 18 under.
We celebrated Jack doing it. We had to redo the course after Tiger did it.
Right. The very next year, Jack goes back-to-back, first one to do so in Masters history, but he needed a Monday playoff to beat Tommy Jacobs and Gabe Brewer. But Jack, at the age of 26, already had 3 green jackets. Also in 66, Mark, Frank records Strangers in the Night.
That was a little sneaky one there. I didn't know if you were going to have that.
Seriously, I'm from Jersey. You think I'm going to miss a Sinatra tidbit? I mean, come on now. I'd lose my card. I wouldn't be allowed to go back. Wait a minute. Are you the guy that forgot about Sinatra and Strangers in the Night? Yeah, man, I'm sorry I didn't get enough sleep. Get the hell out of here. Go to Pennsylvania, will you? 68, LBJ signs the Civil Rights Act of 68. 1970, the Beatles with Let It Be. It goes number 1. This day in 71, Charles Cootie won his only major. He won the Masters by 2 over Jack and Johnny Miller. 76, the Apple computer was released on a Sunday because Floyd won his only Masters by 8 over Crenshaw. Statler beat Dan Pohl in a playoff today to win the Masters 40 years ago in 82. Seve, a year later, won his second Masters. He won 3 British and 2 Masters. Those were his 5 majors. He had to win it on a Monday because the tournament was just pounded with heavy rain. He beat Crenshaw and Kite by 4. Crenshaw would win the Masters the next year. Mark, on this day in 89, Ron Hextall becomes the first goalie to score in the playoffs when he did so for the Flyers. Longer in 93 won his second Masters by 4 over Chip Beck. I'll never forget the late Ken Venturi, who used to come on our show in our first act a lot. It's the only time I've ever heard Venturi be really critical of a golfer. Beck laid up on 15 and he was behind 3. And Venturi just blurted out, Pat, he's obviously playing for second place. Ken wasn't a critical announcer, but it just blurted out of him there. 23 years ago today, Jose Marie Olazabal wins his second Masters. Davis Love technically finished second, but for the most part, Olazabal and Norman battled on the back nine, and that was 3 years after the collapse. And it was like, oh, my goodness, Greg's going to have a chance to win this thing after all. They had the great exchange of, I think, Norman Eagles, 13, to take a one-shot lead. Place goes crazy. Olazabal's got 25 feet for birdie. Bang. And they were tied, and that's when Norman gave him the thumbs up. Okay, and Olazabal gave it to him back as they walked to the 14th tee. Phil, 18 years ago today, Mark, wins his first Masters and major with the 31 on the back nine to beat Ernie Els by 1. 12 years ago, Phil wins his third Masters by 3 over Lee Westwood. In 2015, President Obama goes to Cuba and he meets with Raul Castro. It's the first time that an American president had met with the leader of Cuba since the Cuban Revolution in 59. And 3 years ago, Julian Assange, remember him, WikiLeaks? Yeah, they, was it the Ecuador embassy? Yeah, they just knocked the door down and they arrested him. Said, you will abide by this subpoena. And it was a year ago today, Matsuyama won the Masters, first Japanese male to win a major. Oleg Cassini, the fashion designer, and James Parkinson, a surgeon in the 18th century who obviously lent his name to the disease. 2 men born on this day no longer with us. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is 23. Mark Teixeira's 42. Trot Nixon's 48. Jennifer Esposito is 49. Trevor Linden's 52. Brett Saberhagen's 58. Michael Ray Richardson is 67. Love me some Michael Ray. Felipe, you would have loved Michael Ray Richardson.
Yes, you would have.
He was a point guard who actually was a mini Magic. Wasn't as big, wasn't as good, same skill set.
I've used him in 2K before. He seems...
There you go. How'd that feel for you? He just gave you a video game reference as his answer.
There you go. That's fine. And RFK's widow, Ethel Kennedy, who never remarried, is 94 years old today. And that, Mark, is today was the day.
Just one little omission, because we did the thing with the Beatles a couple of weeks ago where they had like the top 5 songs on the chart.
Right.
It was today in 64 they set a record when they had 14 of the top 100 in the chart.
So basically the whole album?
Can't Buy Me Love was number 1. Love Me Do was number 81, and there were 12 in between. So that's more than one album, by the way.
Damn,
that's staying power.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, well, they were pretty good.
Now, Scheffler thinks he's on a heater. The Beatles in 64?
They were on a heater.
That was a heater.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Scientists have a lot of time on their hands, and computer scientist Andrew Adamansky from the University of West England does. But a new study has found that mushrooms may be able to communicate with each other through patterns in electrical signals. No word if computer scientist Adam Adamansky or the mushrooms were on mushrooms when they were communicating with one another. For the bad, we go right to our own backyard, not too far from here, where Felipe probably gets a Publix sub at least once a week. Saturday morning at the Publix in Estero on Grand Oaks Boulevard when someone keyed a Tesla. The good news for the Tesla owner is that there's the cameras in the car picked it up. We've got to look at the guy's face, and someone hopefully can turn in this horrible human being who had nothing better to do to key a car that he couldn't afford. And the guy was our age. The guy looked like to be in his 50s, keying a car. What the hell?
Those Teslas have 360 cameras.
Yes.
If you walk past it, it will take a video of you walking past it.
And the video
Just so that you guys know.
And the video is out there. So I'd like to see the guy identified, and I'd like to see him arrested, quite frankly, because he's a jerk.
You guys, just want to let you guys know. You guys.
Don't try any of that. You guys.
Just Felipe went, you guys. Like,
Right.
and he was trying to sound like as Goodfellas-y as he could be, which is pathetic.
Finally, the ugly. We go to Collier County, where Michael Mariola was pulled over after deputies conducted a traffic stop on his GMC Sierra pickup because they recognized it from previous law enforcement encounters with this guy having a suspended license. Well, Michael not only had a suspended license, some firearms in the car, some meth in his jacket, he also had stolen an alligator, and he had it in a plastic tub inside the bed of his pickup truck. No word on why he wanted to steal the alligator, but you can't do that. And Michael's going to spend a little time in the Collier County Jail. And that, David, is the good, the bad, and the ugly for April 11th, 2022.
Now, remember, we've got no football. USFL doesn't start till Saturday. We have no NBA because the playing games don't start till tomorrow night. So
What do we have, David?
well, we have Major League Baseball and NHL, folks. That's what you've got on a Monday night. Although there is the WNBA draft tonight. Destiny Henderson, pride of Fort Myers High School, considered a late first-round prospect. And obviously Kirsten Bell of FGCU fame, considered a late first-round prospect, both at the draft tonight in New York.
I will tell you, baseball-wise, David, the Giants and the Padres at 9:45 with 8 total runs is the lowest over-under total of the night, along with Pirates Cardinals. Those are both at 8. Every other game, 8.5 and above.
Ooh, and Pirates Cardinals is a 2:00 game. Getaway. Game 4 of the 4-gamer. That's got underwritten all over it. Marlins are in Anaheim to face the Angels. Rays continue their homestand. They're hosting Oakland. Boy, they get the Orioles and the A's, and they get the A's after they sold off their top 4 players.
Yeah, they're minus 230 today, are the Rays, David.
Yeah, that's a lot. Cardinals are minus 200.
Right.
Might be worth a flyer on the Pirates. Yankees, Jays. That'll be entertaining. Got to admit, I mean, the games will be long, but the AL East will be entertaining this year.
And just one hockey game. Canadians host the Jets tonight in a pretty meaningless game.
Ooh, boy. Wow.
Our poll question, if you have not answered it today, which sport will you be watching the most for the next month? Right now, Major League Baseball getting 40% of the vote, hockey getting 29% of the vote, NASCAR with 17% of the vote, and coming in last right now is the association with 14.5% of the vote.
Unbelievable.
No, actually, it's
Pretty believable, actually.
It's really believable. Like even Felipe's coming around. He's learning the audience quickly.
He thought it was going to win the poll question when the day started.
Right. Win.
This is my time, though. The
Felipe,
NBA is my thing.
Felipe, I'm telling you, your answer may be correct that you should be watching because the first round's going to be good. I get it. Keep fighting the good fight, Felipe. Keep fighting the good fight.
It's been a great NBA season. I mean, it's prime time, baby.
I don't know what Dion has to do with anything right now.
Me neither, but you know, what the heck? It is a League of Stars. Miller and Moulton. Pat Kerwin will join us tomorrow at the very least. We'll work on others, and usually we're successful. Thanks for starting your week off with us. Have a great rest of your Monday. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters.